Hi, I'm Maggie.
Hi, I'm Grace, and this is
A Very Bookish Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back. This is episode 9 of A Very Bookish Podcast. Today we have a special guest. We have Beth, Mass Trash.
Yes, I'm so excited for Beth to be on. Fair warning, everybody, I will be fangirling this entire episode. As Beth has already heard, I've just been fangirling the entire 30 minutes prior. This is one of I don't really watch a bunch of cosplay stuff, but Beth religiously have been following religiously. I have been a stan for so long. So this is my one fangirl episode that I just get to fangirl on is for Beth. So welcome, Beth.
Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to be here. I'm already having so much fun.
That's great. Because for our YouTube listeners, because we do have Spotify and Apple Podcasts, our YouTube listeners will get to see Beth. So hello to everybody. I have been very excited to ask you a bunch of questions. I don't know about Grace, but I've had quite a bit of questions pulled up from the past year that I've been following you. So I'm always oh, what question would I always want to ask her? And I'm like, well, I got a whole list in the back of my head, so I might as well just bring it out for the podcast.
Oh, that's right. I love that for you.
Yeah.
So, kind of just to get the ball rolling and to start it up, do you want to kind of give us your background in musical theater? Because I know that portrayed a big part into you starting your cosplay.
Yes, it did. Great question. Wow. Okay. Well, I started doing theater when I like to say 6. If you ask my mother, she'll say 11, but believe me. And the first show I ever did was, obviously I did at church, the nativity plays, but the first show I actually did was Charlotte's Web, and I was little and I had these little pigtails and I was a really blonde when I was little. And I was fairgoer number 4, and I was very proud of it. And I don't know, I just it was what I was good at, and it was something that I really loved to do. And I very selfishly love attention. So it was a way to garner attention from people.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, it was something that I did that came really naturally to me. And so I was like, why wouldn't it be what I do? You know what I mean? I'm not naturally an athlete. I'm not naturally just really smart. That's kind of my thing. So that's my thing. That's what I do. And I did a bunch of stuff in high school. I was the subtle brag for a moment here. I was the first person from my school to ever make all-state speech all 4 years. So that was really cool. And that kind of was okay, I need to go to school for this when I made it freshman year, because freshmen never make it to all-state. So that was kind of this is what I need to do for the rest of my life. And I'm what I'm studying right now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's great that, hold on, Grace, ask a question.
That's honestly pretty great because you don't realize that the things that you fall in love with throughout while you were a kid become the things that you hold on to in adulthood.
Very much.
You don't really, as a kid, they ask you what to be, and you have to get sent. You don't realize that some things can be it.
Right. Yes, very much so. And when I was a kid, when people were like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'd be like, I want to be an actor. They'd be like, you don't want to be a doctor or an astronaut like every other kid is saying. You know?
Yeah. And they definitely don't think that it could be a serious thing for you.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I definitely think that with sorry, my roommate just came in. That's why I was talking to somebody off screen.
You're good.
My roommate came in and she looked at me. She's like, what are you doing? And I was like,
I'm busy.
I told you I was recording my podcast. I thought you were supposed to be my boyfriend. But no, I think especially with the rise in TikTok and platforms and stuff, you're able to use your craft, and I will say very well. The cosplays you put are so beautifully curated. Manon is my favorite. Especially you did a live with Manon as you played Manon, and I was like, my dreams have come true. Like, I not no shame in saying you're my favorite like Manon cosplayer. And like Sam, she did the art for Manon and she used you as the photo. It's your profile picture, and
It is.
I was like, this in my mind, this is what it is. This is what it will be forever. Sorry, my roommate just walked in.
You're good.
But I kind of wanted to ask you, like, how specifically for Manon, like, how did you curate all of those like little pieces, like down to like the cape, the dragon, like emblem, like, how did you decide what you were gonna put for this cosplay?
Yeah, so Manon was like the first. I don't want to say she's the first one, but yeah, I'm gonna say she's the first one that was funded entirely by my following, which makes her so special to me. So obviously there's like the image of what a character looks like when we read the book. And I guess it's taken partly from that and also partly from like, I do a lot of thrifting, and I hate to admit this because boo capitalism, but Amazon is a really, really accessible and pretty inexpensive way to get into cosplaying, which is incredibly unfortunate. But so I have an Amazon wish list, and I was like, hey guys, I don't know, maybe I'm gonna put some stuff on this, and if you want to help, you can. If you don't want to, like, that's fine, but it's just going to my Manon cosplay. And like everything was like bought in like the first half hour, which was like mind blowing to me. So it was also like input from all of my following, you know, like, what would you want to see out of this cosplay? You know, what kind of like specific detail things do you want? Yeah, so I guess I kind of pick and choose based on what my image is and based off of what I know people are really gonna like appreciate and see, right? So like for the pin specifically, I think it's a Game of Thrones pin actually.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was like,
Yeah,
that's from Game of
yeah.
Thrones, but I loved how you used it because I was like, that's what I really love about your cosplays is you're very like even with like thrifting and stuff, you use a lot of resources that like normally people wouldn't. I guess that comes with like cosplay and stuff. So I really did appreciate the Manon cosplay.
Well, and that one I think is the cosplay that I have with the most pieces and parts and layers, and like it's a lot. Like getting into it is like a day. Like
it's armor basically. It's armor.
It is armor. It
you
totally
have the
is.
wig.
Actually, for Manon, I looked into like literally buying like chainmail, but that's very expensive. So I did not do that because that would have been not smart of me. But
Funny thing is I bought the wig that you have for Manon. I bought it because I love it, and I've used it. I've worn it quite often. Never out, of course. I always wear it in my room, and I never would show anybody. I think I wore it,
but it's still fun.
It's so, like it's so long. It's
Yes.
like it's so
so soft. Yeah.
Yes. But kind of like that kind of ball rolls into how like for curating like other characters and stuff. Like you have your Feyre one where you made the dress for Feyre.
Yeah.
Like where do you get all this inspiration like from like Pinterest, or like where do you think to like gather all of this stuff? Does it come from your brain or?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just kind of comes from my brain. I would also say it comes from knowing what I have access to. So like I know like for Feyre, let's use that. I knew financially like I would not be able to buy like a full like thing. But I did know what I could do, and I can sew, and curtains are inexpensive, you know? So I mean it's about balancing the decision of like what will look really good, but also is what is like financially and for your skill set possible to make the best outcome. So I bought some curtains, I cut them up, and we called it a cosplay.
Yeah, I mean, like, especially the makeup you do for every single one of your, like, your face, I feel like is perfect for cosplay because you can do the makeup really well.
Thank
for
you.
like Bryce versus like Manon, two different facial structures that look amazing because like the Bryce one is very like Instagram baddie, feels like whereas like the Manon, it's a very like ethereal queen, the like eyeshadow that's winged. I told you I'm a stan.
I love it. I love it. I'm like, you know everything, girl. You know better than I do.
I did my research for this.
You did.
I had a year of researching to do this. But, no, I like, especially for like your more costume. I know that also was heavily funded by followers as well. Because
Yes.
of course I watch you open the packages. Like when you go live, I'm always there. I'm always like peeking through. I might not
cute. Oh my gosh.
I might not stay the whole time, but I'm always like, oh, Beth is on. Let me see what she's doing. Like I was there when you opened your Folk of the Air books. I was on that one.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
So I can say I'm a true stan.
Yes, girl.
But no, like especially when you like for the funding for you going to college, I definitely put some in. I was like,
thank you,
$50. So
oh my God, thank you so much.
No,
well, and that particularly was like that was a really big thing for me because asking for help is not something I'm great at. However, you know, like we were talking about, like I knew that was what I had to do was go to this school because it's like my place, you know, and study what I'm studying. And I am planning a little something to thank everybody. But it's not done yet. So don't tell anybody I told you that.
Oh, okay. This is exclusive for the podcast listeners.
It is a podcast exclusive.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Grace, do you have any questions before I ask more of my questions? I need to give Grace some time to ask questions.
Okay, I understand the moment. I appreciate both of you. Yeah, I do. So I kind of want to get into cosplaying, but I'm very timid about it because I do, you know, I love the whole dressing up thing. And like, you know, I'm a teacher and at a small school, and we did put on a couple of productions, and I did like that whole creating the space and building. I'm more of like a set designer in that.
Yes.
And I do love that. I love that whole world building thing. That's why I love books with incredible world building.
Yes.
But
yeah.
I want to get into that character side too. And it's kind of harder for me because, you know, most characters in books are not like me. It's kind of, what advice would you give somebody who wants to play somebody ideal look?
Yeah. Okay, so when I read House of Earth and Blood and Bryce was described as curvy, I was like mind blown. Like that, I'm a 20-year-old woman, and that was like the first character that I read that was like, maybe she looks like me, like for real, you know? So what I subscribe to the ideology that with given parameters, anybody can cosplay anybody. Now that being said, like I would never cosplay like Rue from the Hunger Games. You know what I mean? Like I would never cosplay a person of color or like, because that's just not, obviously, like that doesn't make any sense. However, anybody can play anybody. I think that the whole trope of white, skinny, can I swear?
Yes.
The white skinny
You
bitches.
can.
The age of white skinny bitches is over, and our generation is demanding representation, real representation. And so I feel like something that we can do to push for that representation is take those white skinny bitches and turn them into, you know, curvy women of color, turn them into disabled people of color, turn them into any kind of marginalized community to spread awareness about, you know, this issue that we have in the YA community, while still acknowledging, you know, they might be good characters. The writing in the book might be good. However, we can also acknowledge that the representation is problematic. So,
Sorry.
yeah, right. I know it. So yeah, that's the advice that I would give is it's not the character that is, the character is fictional, you are not. And you fill out that fictional character when you cosplay them. And you can fill them out any way you want.
So
Love that.
the reason why she's asking is because she has just dyed her hair this beautiful red color. She's gonna cosplay Poppy from Blood and Ash. So she dedicated.
Yes, you are.
She's gotten the corset. She's gotten like dresses. She's like texting me like all of these things. She's gonna buy a wig, and she's like, "No, I'm gonna dye my hair." Like,
That's commitment. That is
Commitment.
commitment.
but that kind of leads to my question: have you read From Blood and Ash?
I have not read. There's so many like popular ones that I have not read just because I have not. I mean, I'm getting there. I am reading as fast as I can.
I love. We kind of talked about this. Like From Blood and Ash does give like the bigger girl like representation. Because JLA, the author, has said herself that Poppy is not like a skinny bitch. Poppy's
Right.
not skinny, and I kind of see this where like. You see where in fan art, a lot of artists portray characters who are supposed to be bigger as thin.
Yeah.
Like a lot of Bryce.
Yes.
Like a lot of.
Oh, that makes me so mad when I see people draw her and she's like this wide, and I'm like, no, that's not what she looks like.
Yeah, I've definitely like I've seen some Bryce fan art, and I'm always like, is she that thin? Like because curvy in my mind is like, yeah, some thin women have like big hips and my fork, big hips and stuff, but like curvy is like you have meat on your body.
Yeah,
you're not
right.
thin. Like you got some thunder
Right.
thighs. Like
Right. Well, and then the question is like, you know, when skinny people cosplay, let's just use Bryce specifically, right? Like, again, I it's not that it like irks me, because it doesn't. Like, do what you want to do if that's what you're called to do. But it's also kind of like leave some for the rest of us. You know what I mean? There's lots of skinny people for you to cosplay. Yeah, but I mean, like, I'll never tell someone you can't do that creatively because that just doesn't feel right. But just please leave some for us.
No. Okay, so that kind of leads into another question. I literally have so many questions for you. That kind of goes into like the body positivity and stuff. Is like, how do you deal with some people who do say like, because like maybe you do cosplay like skinnier characters, like Feyre is a very thin. She's a thinner, not as thin as Nesta, because we all know Nesta's like relatively really thin.
Right.
But have you gotten any of that negative feedback, and how do you deal with that? And how do you process it? Yeah,
I've been really, really, really lucky with comments. I don't think I've ever once gotten a negative comment about my body, which is kind of baffling to me, because I kind of went into this being like, people are gonna hate on me, you know, because I mean, I would consider myself curvy. I might not look at it like it from here, but from here up, I'm like a small. And then sizes are weird when anyway, it's a long spiel. You guys get it.
But, we get it.
Right. And I mean, like, I'm not shy about, you know, showing what I look like. You know what I mean? Like, if I do a video, I'm never going to like suck in. When I edit photos for Instagram, I never like edit it to make me look smaller. I just try to be really authentic, and I've been really lucky that I haven't gotten any kind of hate or backlash, really.
That's really great.
Yeah, and I'm like, part of me is like, I wish I got some so that I knew how to react.
Yeah.
But I've been really lucky to not get any. However, that being said, I've definitely gotten like hate comments. Like when I was in that scandal, I was like, my first ever scandal, when I said I didn't like Feyre. I'm sure y'all remember that.
I remember it.
Yeah. People were really coming for me. I mean, they were really upset, and for valid reasons. But yeah, for how I kind of dealt with that was just kind of like, you know, this is my honest opinion, and you can have a different opinion, and that's fine. And I did more research, and now I reread the books and kind of like delved into her character, and I'm like, I respect where she's coming from. She's still like not my favorite character, but I definitely don't hate her anymore. So improvement.
I mean,
but yeah, I mean, just kind of being like, I'm me, and you can be you, and that's fine. But I'm gonna be me no matter what you say. So just stop saying things.
That's my opinion.
That's my opinion. Yeah.
That's what came to mind when you were saying that. I was like, that's like the perfect like way to describe it.
How do you know what's good for me? Yeah.
No, yeah. I definitely like think that like that scandal, I was so blown out of proportion, but the way you handled it, like a queen you are, you were just like, I will do, like you admitted it. You were like, I feel like that's something that a lot of people like struggle with, is like admitting that like maybe their perception of something is like a little skewed or biased. And so you did go back and you read it. So I like was like, wow, like maybe I will go back and read it too. Cause like Farah is like annoying as hell for me. So like the Nesta, A Court of Silver Flames. So excited to read it.
Me too. Can I tell you a secret?
Yes.
I haven't pre-ordered it yet. I know.
The top Nesta stan has not ordered.
I know. Well, and I don't even have an excuse. I just haven't. I just haven't yet. But I need to, obviously.
I mean, so I work at Barnes and Noble, so it's not going to get to you on release day. So you could go into your store and get it. Which is probably what I will do, because I got the Azrael POV.
Yeah, you did. Okay. I see you. Okay.
We talked about it in the last podcast. Like,
I just have to say this. People who stand Azrael are freaks. And that's all I'm going to say. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say. I have a friend who's like an Azrael stan. I mean, like, she had to take a break from thinking about Azrael because it was getting so bad. Like, and she's the freakiest person I know. So
perfect.
Yeah.
So,
Maggie.
I'm just feeling high.
Yeah, we're not attacking you, but this is an intervention.
It's an intervention. Well, I'm sorry. It's my opinion. No, I mean, Rowan is like my top tier one. I'm sorry. I like Rowan. I have like a shrine to Rowan.
I love that for you.
It's down there. I've moved it, but so that kind of like leads into my second question is, who's your top, not my second, this is like my like 10th or whatever question, but what is your
like
top bookish boyfriend?
My top, oh my god. Does it have to be Sarah J. Maas?
No, it doesn't have to be.
Oh my god. Wow. Oh, I know who it is. It's Wolf from the Lunar Chronicles. Oh, he has my whole heart. It's his. He could plot it, and I'm. Oh my god.
I need to read that. I like saw it the other day, and I was like, oh, maybe I should read that.
Yes, you should.
Honestly, like your cosplays throughout like that whole like Scar, I think that Scarlet, that's who you were.
Yeah.
Like every time I would see that, I'm just like, oh my, I need to read this. I have this. And I was like, every time I would see, I'm just like, this is on. And so like I got it on ebook, and I'm just like, I'm gonna get to it like after I finish all of our buddy reads. But like
right.
Sure.
Yeah, no, it's so good. Well, and it's a nice like reprieve, because like YA, I feel like is always like death, destruction, war, heavy death, sad childhood. You know what I mean? Like all of that, like very heavy metal. But Lunar Chronicles is like, it's such a sigh of relief. Like obviously there's still like angst and conflict, but like it's not like, no, it is life or death, but for some reason it's just not as dramatic as mainstream literature is. I love it. There's also like, so there's the main 4 books, and then there's 2 graphic novels and 2 novellas, and I own all of them. I mean, like, I'm obsessed. It's really bad.
Is there a new novella that came out?
No, they did a new covers.
Oh, new covers.
They like re-released it with new covers.
Yeah.
Which I went to a signing event with Marissa Meyer, and I met her, which was really cool.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes.
You're a fan.
I was literally the last in line.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's actually really cool that you like got to meet the author and stuff, because like I kind of started rereading like during quarantine, so like I couldn't meet the authors. Like I couldn't
yeah,
during
yeah.
quarantine. Like I've definitely like watched like live Instagram videos and stuff.
Mhm.
I think we all have. But I forgot what I was gonna ask. Dang it.
Good. I can slip a question there now.
Yes,
That's
yes,
one of your
yes.
questions.
My
Sorry,
time.
while she's not talking. I'm kidding.
But I want to ask, like, what is like one of your most heartfelt moments with the platform that you have had?
Oh wow. Great question. If you go back to like, I mean, it has to be like March or April, like way back on my page. There's a video of me crying when I hit 1,000. I was like, thank you guys so much. Like it was pretty dramatic. But I mean, it was insane. I was literally so shocked. I was just so taken aback. And now it's kind of like out of the realm of being able to conceptualize how many people there are. So that's one. And then the other is when I told my mom about the college fund. She was like, really? I have the video. I'm probably going to post it at some point. She was like, you're joking. You're joking with me. It's like, I'm not. She's like, really? So that was really sweet to have been able to give her and me and, you know, our financial stress that gift because everyone was so supportive and nice. Yeah, so that was when that fund hit 1,000 too is probably when I bawled like an absolute child. I was like, I gotta go back. It was messy. It was a messy moment, but it was sweet.
I remember watching you were not happy in
No.
South Dakota. I was like, I felt pain for you. I was like, because I felt that pain of like moving to a new school
Mm-hmm.
and like especially like in the middle. I've moved in the middle of like high school, like sophomore year. In the middle of sophomore year, I switched states. And so I felt that pain of like hating your school. I mean, I eventually liked it, but that's because I was forced to.
Right.
But
right.
I'm so happy for you that you get to go back to like your dream school and like your dream program is what you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
And that just makes me happy. But
You're
you're
so
kind of
sweet.
seeing like the future because you are in college. Both of us are still in college. What do you plan to do? Do you plan to go into like musical, like doing theater, or do you plan to do like movies? What do you plan to do with your degree?
You know, that's a great question.
It doesn't have to be fining, but
no, I know.
Question.
So my program, I believe, does a showcase in New York your senior year. So like casting agents and you know, managers can come and watch, and if they like you, they'll be like, hey, sign for with my organization. So I'll do that, but I used to really want to do Broadway. I still really do. I would love to do Broadway. But actually over quarantine, so my program is 3 years, 2 summers, and our summer program this year was all online, obviously. And during that, we did a camera work class. And I fell in love with screen acting. You can really tell in my content too, before I took that class and then after I took that class. So I would love to do screen work. I mean, I would do a Hyundai commercial, honestly. Like I just love.
I mean, yeah, you do kind of do it now. Like you're on TikTok, you do a lot of like screen work, and especially with like the Fair Under the Mountain stuff, you started like you really saw like the progression in like I've seen it. I've seen the progression and like the amount of effort that you put into your videos. How?
Great question.
Like, where do you find the time to do this? Do you even sleep? Is my question. Like,
you know what? I do, which is crazy because I didn't. When I was doing the summer program, classes started at 10 a.m. and went until like 4 p.m. So I would be in class all day, I would eat, and then I'd film till like 1 or 2 a.m. and then I'd go to bed and wake up and do it the next day. So that was when I was like going at it, like burning the candle at both ends. Yeah. But now that I'm at school, I don't know if you guys read Acadad, but I took a week break off Acadad so I could get settled Maggie said, "Oh, say less."
So, I might have stopped reading because I've been waiting for you to like have like finish it, and so that I can just binge read it.
Oh, that's smart.
Because I was reading it like once a week, and I was like, okay, Beth, I can't do this. I have to wait until you finish it because I was so invested in it that I was like, I'm torturing myself by waiting like a week between. Like, I'll do it for TV shows, but not for Acadad. No.
You
I
are
refuse.
so sweet. That was really like, that became something I did not expect it to become. That came crazy.
I mean, it's really interesting because your writing style is so similar to hers that it felt like a court of, basically how I imagined a court of silver flames would go.
Yeah.
Leads into my next question. Your predictions for a court of silver flames.
Okay, listen, I'm simmering with anger because I hate the new teaser. I hate it so much. Oh, I hate it. And if I say too many opinions, people are gonna come for me like they did when I was talking about the cover. Oh God. Okay, here are my predictions. Nesta and Cassie are gonna end up together. That's already confirmed. They're gonna do the deed. But here's
multiple times.
Right. Here's another prediction I have though. I think, and this is the direction I was gonna go with Acadad, but then I changed it. I think Nesta is going to sleep with people in order to gain things. You know what I mean? So I think that whole Eris scene, I think she's gonna sleep with him to get him to do something or to gain some kind of knowledge or something like that. Like that's kind of, I don't know. I just somehow think that that's gonna happen, which I don't know how I'd feel about it. Cause I mean, like, power to you, girl. Like, if you got it, use it. You know what I mean? But that would also just piss Cassian off, like, to unbelievable levels, which will lead to lots of angst, which will make us all very happy.
I think you were talking about it, and you were talking about how, like, I think you said something. This was a while back ago. I'm trying to remember.
No, you're good. I thought you were such a stan, and you don't remember.
No.
I'm sorry, my queen. I'm sorry. I think the title should just be Maggie simping for an hour and a half.
1 hour of Maggie simping. I love it.
Yeah. So, you were talking about how like this is gonna be like Sarah J. Maas's most sexually explicit book, and I think you were talking something about like why is like Nesta's book. I think you were talking something. You had some viewpoint about like why would because Nesta has been through like a lot of trauma and stuff when it comes to like sexual stuff. So how do you feel that like Nesta's book is going to be the most sexual? Do you think that's what helps you think that she's going to use
yes
figures?
Right, yes it is. And quite frankly, let me be frank with you all since we're friends, it really irks me to my core that the sexual assault survivors book is the sexiest book. Like that just really it makes me just very angry.
Yeah.
But also I feel like I get it, you know.
Yeah.
I guess I mean I get it. And I also feel like Asriel's book is gonna be spicier because he's Asriel. So yeah, but I wish that wasn't all she was. Like, I feel like that's like Sarah's sneak peeks, you know, have all been with very sexual undertones. And it leads me to believe that the book is going to be very, very heavily like not about healing sexually, just about sex, you know, which are two different things.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about with Melissa and stuff, like how we see in Aquafast, right this time.
Yes.
Power to me. I like had to think about it. I like paused. I was like, Aquafast. Like we see that Nesta does have a lot of sex, and like we kind of talked about how like it feels like she's taking her body back with like this like
Yeah.
empowering kind of thing where
Oh, yeah.
and like the fact that like Cassie and everybody else shames her for that.
Oh,
We talked about this. So I wanted to get your point of view on Cassian and Nesta's relationship because Melissa, we were talking about it and we were like, Cassian treats Nesta like a side hoe. That's what that's what we were saying is like in the whole podcast, Melissa and I were like, he doesn't treat her like he wants to be with her. Kind of. So what is your take on the relationship?
Let people have sex if they want to have sex.
Yeah.
That's my take on it. But no, I completely agree. Like, I think, and this is, I'm going to say this, and people will be like, oh, well, it's because he's Fae. That doesn't excuse inappropriate behavior. And he treats her very much like property. That's a reoccurring theme with Sarah J. Maas and the males in her book is they treat the women like property. And Cassian's no different. And I think that is probably another reason why Nesta is having so much sex is because she's like, I'm not your property. Look, I can do all of this with all of these people and you can't do anything about it because you don't own me, which I really respect. So I definitely feel like that's also like adding to that. And I honestly don't think she's doing it to piss him off. I think she's doing it because she's finally in a place where she can use her body for what she wants to use her body for. But I hope that Cassian and Nesta's relationship will be different than like Rhys and Feyre's or like Rowan and Aylin's. Like they're obviously wonderful and we love them, but they're so possessive and materialistic of each other. Like you're both living beings, you know. You don't like the whole romantic idea of you belong to me. It just makes me uncomfortable. Like, I mean, no, I don't.
Rowan,
actually.
I mean,
okay. If Rowan
Daddy Rowan can do anything.
You belong to me, I'd say okay, you're right. But
or Asriel, if Asriel said you belong to me, I think my underwear would be taken away.
It's done. It's
just gone.
Right.
It would be like, yes.
Yeah.
I didn't say that. I'm scared.
But however, for some reason with Rhys, it's just weirder. I don't know what well, that's not true. I do know what it is that makes it different with him, but
yeah, Rhys is I'm wearing Rhys's earrings right now from Starlight Designs. They're like little.
Wait, let me see them. Oh, cute.
They're like purple bat earrings.
So cute.
So I have.
I'm wearing my Witchling shirt.
Yes, I saw that. I was
repping the brand.
Yes.
I have a Akatar T-strainer.
Yeah.
Does that
is so cute.
We kind of all have like a little bit of Sarah J. Maas today.
I didn't have anything on me, but I had something that was drinking.
Hey, that counts.
It does.
You're ingesting it. You're at a whole nother level than us.
So kind of talking about like Rhys and like the idea of Rhys is not a feminist. And like you look at him, really, he's not a feminist.
You don't even have to look that hard.
Yeah, you don't.
You can just look at him for 1 second and you can know it. He's got a shirt on that says "I am not a feminist," like a neon sign. It's flashing. Like,
I forgot what I was gonna say. This happens.
No,
Grace, you would have added a question before I figure out what I was gonna say.
Okay,
get in there quickly.
Let's see. Like everybody knows, I guess, because I talk about him all the time. I do love Cassian a lot. He's my type, big time. But you know, it's something different when you're like talking about these characters that you love a lot, but then acknowledging where their faults lie is a big part in being a fan of something, because there is nothing out there that is going to be 100% like perfect. There has not been a single book that has come out that is like completely unproblematic, where the author is on point, where the characters are like completely perfect, nothing like that. And then it kind of goes to show, like, when people have different opinions on books and then we get that backlash and well, whose side are you on? Are you on this side or on that side? Like, you kind of talked about it a little bit with like your backlash with Feyre, and then probably like some Nesta hate comments too. And though we've talked about it a little bit on other episodes on the podcast, I would like to know your thoughts on like what is the best way to approach someone who is on that opposing side mentality of a fan.
Wow, great question. Let me preface it by saying I don't know the right answer. You know, I mean, right. I don't know if there is a right answer. I would just go about it, you know, like you said, acknowledging that both sides have their, you know, they're golden and they have their blackness, you know, both sides. Like, let's just use Rhys. Obviously, he like literally was sexually abusive to Feyre. However, I don't know what his golden is, but I'm sure he has one. I'm sure he has a golden. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's a joke. Somebody's gonna take that clip and just post it, and everyone's gonna come for me. So Rhys is that, but Rhys is also incredibly attentive and attuned to Feyre's feelings. So acknowledging that both sides are both, you know, both good and bad. And then also coming from a place of knowledge instead of like attack. Like if people come for Nesta on like a Nesta video, if they're coming from a place of being like, I want to know your opinion, I want to know more, like, why do you think that way? I'll respond and I'll be like, yeah, this is why I think that way, but I also acknowledge that Nesta's done this and this and this that are incredibly problematic. But if they're like, Nesta's trash, or like, Nesta was a horrible sister, I'm like, that is not coming from a place that you actually want to know more. You just wanted to say that, and now it's off your chest, and we can move on. You know, so that's what I would say is coming from.
Do you feel better now?
Right, I know. Do you want me to make you a cup of tea real quick? I feel like you need one. You want a teddy bear? I'll get you one.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit with Alyssa, and the fact that like a lot of people say that she's like a really bad sister, but I was like, I have been such a terrible sister. If we're gonna like say that like she's a bad sister, like I'm like the worst sister in existence.
Well, right, and here's something interesting. People say she's a bad sister. People who say she's a bad sister are only considering Feyre's side of the story. She was a fantastic sister for Elaine. I mean, she was like Elaine's butler, her caretaker. She tucked her in. She made her food. I mean, so for Elaine, she was a great sister. Now for Feyre, obviously she was not the best sister, obviously. Yeah. So that's the other thing is acknowledging perspective and bias like we were talking about. You know, I feel like a lot of people, because the story is told from Feyre's perspective, forget that Feyre herself is biased. Which is why I don't really love first person books, because they're biased toward, you know, the MC. Yeah.
Great answer. Perfect. Love it.
That's why we're all very excited for Nesta's book, is because we get to see. I want to see, because like we've seen Feyre's character arc, we've seen Rhys's character arc, but we have not seen Nesta, and I feel like that's where a lot of like the Nesta haters really come, like their arguments are really not on solid ground because we have not seen her side of the story. And if you can forgive Rhys and Feyre for like all the problematic stuff that they've done, you can't judge Nesta yet. Like she's not given her side of the story. Like you have not seen like anything really substantial about Nesta.
Right.
Maybe like what, 100 pages on her, really?
Literally. Well, and I mean, I would say, this is going to be a little controversial, but I would say she has had the biggest character journey in the smallest amount of pages in the ACOTAR universe. Because we've seen her go from like snobby sister to, you know, snobby sister, and then she's the sole owner and caretaker of their manor, and then she has to put everything back together after manor is burned down, and then she's a new species. And I mean, like, all of these things happen to her, and she goes from this, and then in Akawar, that moment with Cassian, and we're like, oh my god, she's a good person, like she's gonna lay down her life and be with Cassian, and that's gonna be great. That for me is such like a map what's sort of looking for landmark moment in her character journey. And then she goes all the way 180 to self-isolation. So she went from the beginning of the series going out of her way to attack people, and then she finishes the series by not even wanting to be by people. I mean, like, that's such a big journey, you know?
That's one of my problems with Cassian, is because I feel like he had a very crucial role in her going back into herself. Is we see that because in Akko, at the end of Akko War and stuff, where she puts her life out on the line for this man, and then he walks away with his friends, and he treats her like a side hoe. He treats her like a side hoe where he doesn't really want to be with her. He doesn't show his friends that he wants to be with her, and the whole situation with Moore is just like needs to be just dealt with and talked about. I feel like the main thing in like Sarah J. Maas's characters is you just need to talk. Communication. Everybody lacks communication in Sarah J. Maas.
Can we have a group chat?
Like,
We need to go to
yes.
group therapy.
They just all need to there should be a YouTube video of Sarah J. Maas characters going to group therapy. Like, I need to see that.
Oh my god, yeah.
Beth, are you gonna do that? Can you
make that happen?
Catch me starting a collab.
Yeah,
Period.
like I just think they all need therapy, but that's like every morally gray character needs therapy.
Period. And the problem with making a book series where every character is morally gray is that's the normal, and nobody's morally gray, and it's not exciting. You know, which is Sarah J. Maas's books. Everyone is, except Moore. Moore is not morally gray.
Yeah,
she's just amazing.
And Dorian.
Listen, I have a problem where I don't see faults in character. Like, I don't know what is Moore's fault? Like, what did she do wrong? Like, she's never done anything wrong.
No, she hasn't.
What has she done wrong? You know what I mean? And people try to blame her. I'm sorry, I totally just interrupted you.
No, I was just agreeing with you. But how would they blame Moore? For what?
Well, because they try to blame her for stringing Asriel along, which is not true, because she straight up told him, she said, I don't like you, I don't want to be with you. And he's the one who didn't accept that. She did not string him along at all. She told him black and white, no, get your darkness, get your shadows, and get out of here.
I'll take
them.
He
said, okay.
Yeah. I also find that so interesting that like we see like Cassian is this very like sexually out there character where he takes pride in his sexuality, whereas as the kinkiest person, it's always the kinkiest are the quietest. The quietest are always the kinkiest. But I also noticed that
Peep Grace being quiet during this podcast.
Yeah, Grace, I'm calling you out.
Whoa. I'm not the one that simps over Asriel, so
That's true. That's true. She got you there.
Okay. You know what? I forgot what I was gonna say because
that's not to say that, you know, that's not to say that I'm not, but you know.
Right, let's own up to it. You know what I mean? This is a safe space.
Yeah, this is a safe. We all want to pride our sexuality here. But I noticed that like Sarah says that Az has had lovers and like he's had a lot. He just doesn't talk about them. So like I want to know if from Az's perspective, because we all think that Az is like this lovesick fool who can't get over more. I have a feeling that that's not true. I think personally Az thinks more like, or something with like he's protecting more and he's not really like coming from like a place of love, more protection. Because I just think that because I stan him.
You just think that because you want to be with him.
Okay, you know what? You don't need to call me out like that. But because I've noticed this with Sarah J. Maas's characters is like you think like we get one perspective and then it completely 180s once we get the other person's perspective because it's always perceived wrong. So like with Nesta, how we've gotten her in the books is going to be totally wrong. How we got Reese in the first book, totally wrong. So I think when it comes to Moore, yeah, he liked her for a time, but I feel like after like how many years? 200 years? It's been like
I think it was
500 years.
500.
Yeah.
I think
have they known Moore for 500 years or like 200 to 300 years?
They're like
us
No,
not
it's
knowing our
been
Sarah
less.
J. Maas
It's like
facts. I think it was 5. I think it was 5. I think.
well, they're like 500 something, and she
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
fairly young.
Right.
She was just
They were wee babies.
Correct.
Yeah. I think they're like
Yeah.
532 or something like that.
I think that's the exact
yeah. Cassian is like 530s, as is right under that, and Reese is the baby out of that.
Yeah, but somehow he's the most powerful, whatever.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I think like after knowing more I think Moore's like 300 something years old, I think. But they haven't known her for her whole life. Like I don't think they've like that Cassie and Az have. Maybe Reese has because she did grow up in the Court of Nightmares. So I think he's had a couple decades to get over her. Because I'm sorry, after a couple decades, if a guy
You mean
was
centuries?
Yeah,
Yes,
centuries, girl.
that's what it is. I was thinking, well, how long have they actually known her? That's my
Okay, I have the ages. Azrael is 538 and Moore is 536. And her birthday is actually November 15th, which is 2 days from my birthday, which is kind of crazy. She's a Scorpio. Of course she's a Scorpio.
You're a Scorpio, aren't you?
I'm a Scorpio. What are you guys?
I was gonna ask you that when you were talking. I was like, you're a Scorpio, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
I'm an Aquarius.
What are you guys? An Aquarius?
I'm a Taurus.
A Taurus. I love Tauruses.
Taurus I don't know.
Taurusi. Also, we're in the age of Aquarius. So
my birthday's in less
Yes,
than a
you
week.
do. I love that for you.
Or no, it's in a week. That's what it is.
Your birthday's in a week?
Yes, the big 20.
Happy early birthday! What? That's so exciting. When you turn 20, you lose hearing in your left ear. So have that to look forward to.
Trust me, I have like I think I'm losing my mind too. I've lost an AirPod. I've been in my dorm room for like 24 hours. I've already lost an AirPod.
Is it the left
Your
one?
room?
It's in my room. And I've lost it in my room.
What did I tell you?
It's my good AirPod too. I have two.
I'm
I have,
so sorry.
And it's my bad one. Like, it's just done. So
Yeah. I know.
flip it around and put it in my other ear so it works.
Girl, just get new AirPods. You know what? I actually have a pair that were like $15. They're not AirPods. They're like, I don't even know where they are.
The like off-brand AirPods.
Yeah. But they actually work really well. So
I thought about that because like I don't want to get the pros because I don't like those kind. They don't fit in my ear, so I'm not getting those.
Well, and Apple is really expensive unnecessarily. So
yes,
yeah.
So but I do have like a bunch of Apple products because I have like saved up. Like I work.
Yeah.
So I do save up. So I was like, okay, I could wait a couple paychecks and get new AirPods if I was in dire need of them.
Right. Well, it sounds like you might be in dire
I
need.
might be.
Grace is like,
I like got called out by my roommate today because I had it in, and she's like sitting at her desk over here. She's like looking at me. She's like, "What is in your ear?"
Yeah, it's
And
like upside down and backwards, and you're like, "This is fine."
It was so funny. Like I've looked everywhere. I've looked everywhere in my room. I even asked my suite mates to like keep an eye out for it.
Everybody look for one single AirPod.
I know.
It's the right one.
Yeah. Like they had their my roommate and her boyfriend had like sexy time last night. So I went into the other room and I opened my AirPod thing and I didn't see it and I was like,
maybe he took it before he left. Maybe he's a thief.
Maybe. Well, what if he thought it was hers? And he's just like, "Oh, if you want your AirPod back, you got to come and see me."
she's over there right now.
Men play games like that.
They do.
Why you don't date men?
Yes.
Easy solution.
No, I'm really excited because we have a book club and we're doing A Court of Silver Flames for our book club. I'm not waiting 2 weeks to read this thing.
Okay.
I'm getting it and I'm reading it. Like,
yeah. I'm gonna do it all in one night. I'm gonna try to do it all in one night.
And you kind of have to, because like this is such a like overhyped book, and like people are gonna want to talk about it immediately. So if you're not reading it that day or the second day of, no matter how, like, that's why before like these major books come out, I have to do like, keep in mind, do not talk about this book for at least a month, like it was for like, Avengers Endgame. Like nobody talked about the ending for a month, and then after that you were clear to talk about it. It's like,
Exactly. Yes.
so I'm implementing that into book talk. Do not talk about this book.
I'm gonna adopt that philosophy too. That's a good philosophy. And I'm scared because people identify me with Nesta right there. And I identify with Nesta. So like I don't want to say
cosplays the next night. You got to get on that cosplay.
That's what I'm saying is people are going to expect me to just like dish out the content like the next second. Like it releases and they're going to be refreshing my page the next minute.
Why can't you read that fast?
I know, exactly. I'm going to have to just like, I mean, like, I don't know. I'm going to have to Spencer read it and just like I don't even know. I don't even know how I'm going to do it. I haven't even ordered the damn thing yet. So I don't even know.
I mean, you could just go sit in Barnes and Noble for 9 hours and read it.
Well, and I think I'm kind of a fast reader, so I could just order a Starbucks and just sit in a Barnes and Noble and read it.
Do it.
You know, but I like to have a physical copy, so yeah, I'll buy one.
Grace has like 3 physical. She's getting like 3 copies.
Two. Okay.
For why?
Okay.
So you can send me one? No.
So, because I have to have both ending things, because I really like diving into books and I really like breaking apart them, and of course because I don't want everybody else to have to buy the extra, so I'm just like, which part do you need? I got you, let me send you the screen.
Oh, that is so nice.
I got you. Here you go.
That's what she's gonna do.
You are a kind human being. That's smart.
I'm definitely the big one. I'm just like, don't buy the special editions, I got you, don't worry.
Have you read Wings and Embers, the Target? Yeah, whoever posted that is my favorite human being. Literally. So I'm really glad I did not have to go out to Target and buy that.
Yeah,
I also think.
Oh, continue.
No, all I was just gonna say, it's also such like a money grab thing. Like she knows people are gonna buy 2 copies because they want both, you know. So I listen. I love your writing, but just give us the whole book. You know what I mean? Come on, no.
That's it. Send it.
You know, she's like, I'll sign this copy. You get my second-born child if you buy this copy, and you get my left kidney if you buy this copy, or you can buy all of them.
Oh my god!
I don't know. No.
Collect all the pieces of me.
Exactly.
Well, that's why.
And then if you collect all the pieces and you put them together like a puzzle, it's a bonus story. Like it would never end.
Oh my gosh. Like that's why I'm telling people, as soon as like they tell me like, oh, okay, I'm gonna pre-order, I'm just like, just get the regular one. I got you. Don't worry about it. I got you. Because like we don't need too many people buying the copies. I'm like, I took the hit. Take it from me.
I took the hit. I did it. I went to war for you guys. Come on.
I mean, I get 40% off at Barnes and Noble, so I think I'm okay with like.
Yeah.
I think I'm okay with my employee discount. I'm okay.
That's nice though. That's really nice. Maybe I need to work at Barnes and Noble.
Like all of these books I bought with my employee discount.
I didn't realize the discount was so much. That's a lot. Shoot.
It's big.
It takes off a chunk because, like, you know.
Yeah. Books are expensive. I chose the most expensive hobby is books and cosplaying.
Yeah, you kind of did.
I did. God.
No, it's because like Grace right now is starting Heir of Fire soon. She has not read Throne of Glass, right?
Stop.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Stop. It's so good. That's my favorite book, actually.
And see, like, look, okay, like I knew that I had to read this. Like, look at her.
Put that away. Put that away. What is wrong with you?
That's not even the worst one that she has. That's not even the worst one.
Stop. You are exposing yourself right now.
I made a full TikTok on it. I've already exposed myself.
Hey, but I love that for you. You're owning it. You're like, yes, I would like to marry this man. What about it? Oh my gosh. Okay, but he smells good. His candle's really good.
Oh yeah, he smells amazing.
Yeah. Yes. He's the kind of guy who like showers twice a day. You know what I mean? Morning and night. Yes. Yeah.
I shower twice a day.
Good hygiene.
Period.
Period.
He washes his butt. Yes.
No, but
yeah.
Pretty good. So I'm so excited. She just finished Assassin's Blade and she was like crying. It was so funny.
I haven't read it yet. Because I know I'm going to get my
Okay.
heart broken, so I don't want to read it. Because it's going to hurt my feelings.
Grace is gonna
It's
start
okay.
crying because of it.
It's fine.
I had her read it before she read Air of Fire because I feel like
Smart.
if you read it before you read Air of Fire is way more impactful when it comes to like the relationship that Rowan and Aelin develop in it. So, yeah.
That's my thing right now, though. Like trying to avoid spoilers.
I know. I'm just trying to really keep my mouth shut because from
No, you're
Air of
fine.
Fire,
Okay.
Air of Fire to the end of the series is like the best what's the word I'm looking for? Sequence of novels I've ever read.
Yeah.
Like it's the best. Air of Fire, Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, and then Kingdom of Ash are the best quadrilogy ever.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. They're so good.
No, I feel the story doesn't really start until you get to Air of Fire.
Yes!
Always like Assassin's Blade, Throne of Glass, and Crown of Midnight, they're good, but the story doesn't start until you get to Air of Fire. And you can tell because they're like thick boys. Air of Fire, the rest, thick boys.
It's huge. Like
Well-
I got it from the library and I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is not
It keeps getting bigger.
It doesn't get better. I mean, it just gets worse. Sarah, I heard Sarah doesn't edit her books. Like she hires an outside editor, so she's not required to take their edits. So she really can just keep writing and just like not stop writing ever. I mean, like she doesn't have to make the book shorter because she doesn't accept the edits. So she can just write to her heart's content. And then you have a 1,000-page book and we buy it and we read it because we're bad people.
I'll read it in a day, of course. Like
period. Yeah.
Crescent City 2. So we were
Ooh.
talking about this. Crescent City 2. I forgot who it was. She was on live with I forgot her name. But they were talking about a threesome in Crescent City 2.
with Steph. Yeah. They
With
did it.
who? With
Who do you think it could be?
Varian.
That's what we said.
Yes. Okay. Stop it. That would be nice. That'd be really fun. I'd like that a lot, actually.
Oh my gosh, that was actually brought up in that live. Like, how does he, he
has two forms. He has a human form and then a merman form, which when I first heard there were going to be mermaids in this, I was like,
yeah,
okay, that's a little sus. But then they made the mermaid the hottest character. So, I'm not mad.
Fan art for him?
Man.
And the fact that he calls Bryce legs makes me so happy because I have really long legs. So I'm like, yes. What about it? What's up? Like,
I mean, you're Bryce Quinlan.
Oh my god.
Cosplays.
Thank you. I love doing Bryce. She's so fun.
I feel like
so fun.
because I like have watched her lives and stuff, I feel like she compliments your personality.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she really brings out my wild side. It's really interesting because like each cosplay like has a personality of its own. Like when I'm in Manon, I'm like shorter and snippier, and when I'm in Nesta, I'm more like I don't know what it is, but just being in the costume just changes me.
Oh yeah.
So when I'm in Bryce, I mean like I really am like I'm cracked out. I mean like it's kind of crazy. Yeah. My poor mother, who has my dad obviously lived with us too, but me and my mom moved to South Dakota individually, and then my dad joined us after he got out of his job in Iowa and got a job in South Dakota. And my poor mom, when it was just me and her, I mean, like, she would have to deal with me, like, walking around the house, like, in full garb and, like, talking to myself. Like, she's withstood a lot.
How does she deal with, like, your accents and stuff? Does she, like, hear you through the walls talking? Because you're Manon, beautiful voice for Manon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I love it so much.
You're making her blush.
The bisexual
No, I'm sorry,
is just like, I can't function right now. I don't know how to process this. But how, like, my question is, how did you come up with her voice? Because like it's probably had like voice acting lessons and stuff, but how did you decide how she was going to talk? Like, did you use like the audiobooks or something, or?
Well, I've actually never had voice acting lessons. That is something I would love to do. I would love to do voice acting. That would be so much fun. But I unfortunately never had that opportunity. I feel like Manon would have been a little better if I had that opportunity. But I mean, I don't know. I just kind of always imagined her and Aylin and Elide are all British to me in the Sarah J. Maas universe. I don't know why. They just are. And I kind of developed my British accent, I don't know, by trial and error. I used to sit on the bus next to this boy in elementary school, and we would always be like, my British accent's better than yours. And he'd be like, no, it wasn't. And so that's how I kind of got a British accent. But for her specifically, because she's never had to raise her voice at people because people just listen to her, so her voice would be quieter. And I usually talk like right here-ish, but her voice pitch is lower for me. Again, because of the power that she holds, and she doesn't need to. And then you put the British accent on, and then you have Manon. So I don't know. It's just kind of Maggie.
Done.
Just kind of building blocks of, going off of her personality and how she was raised, and yeah. So
I never when you said that, like, that she's never had to raise her voice at anyone, that is like such a specific detail that I never thought about. I'm not gonna spoil anything for Grace, but she definitely has never had to like, and that's why I do appreciate your cosplays, is because like you do think about like those in-depth, like how you would pitch her voice, because she doesn't have to raise her voice. She commands power just because that's who she is, and she doesn't need to like raise it. I never thought about that. That's just like a new revelation to me right now. I'm like starstruck.
I know, it's kind of interesting because like I feel like I definitely have a leg up acting wise, obviously, because I'm in school for it. So I have a lot of experience, like really deep diving into characters' psyches and who they are and their intricacies. So I mean, things like that. Like for Bryce, like she's a party girl, so she's used to being very loud, so her voice is going to be louder, and also because it's louder, it's probably going to pitch a little higher, and then Bryce talks like this, you know what I mean? Like, so I guess it's just kind of taking aspects of their personalities and making a voice for it. I don't know. But that's just something I've always had to do.
Yeah, you definitely got the basis for voice acting, because I feel like all of that thought process goes into how they do the voices. So I think you're on the track.
I would love to do that so much. Like, I watch a lot of anime.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I do. I watch a lot of anime, and sometimes I'll like, I don't usually listen to the dub. Like, I usually listen to it in the native language and then read the subtitles. But sometimes I'll like do my own voice for them, like what I think they would sound like in English, and then I'll listen to the English version and see how close I was.
It's so adorable.
It's fun. It's fun.
I've seen a couple of voice actors on TikTok. I don't know how I got there, but I got there, and like they talk about how they do certain voices, like how they do. I saw one video. It was like a out of the blue video, and she was talking about how she did like a boy's voice, and how like she would like drag her like chin forward, and she would like talk the voice like this, and then pitch it up and do all these things, and how
with the gravel in the back of your throat.
Yeah, yes. Girl, you saw that video too, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that's so. The people can do that, and I'm like,
no, I know. Well, and two, like I saw one that was like a voice actor, and she was like, I'm a voice actor, and these are all the characters that I played. I'm sure you saw one of those. And I mean, like, it was just like nothing to her. And I'm like, you sound like, I mean, that's the point. Like, you're supposed to sound like different people, but it was crazy. I was very impressed. Oh,
yeah. It'll be fun for you, for sure.
Yeah.
I know, it's exciting.
I mean, like, do you want to like start reading some of like Manon's POVs? Like, just do a TikTok.
People have asked me for that. People have been like, can you make the audiobook? I will listen to it. And I was like, I don't even know how to do that.
Well, because you've read, I don't remember. I think it was Aylin's. You
Mhm.
did that one. You did
Yeah.
I
She
don't-
was Selena. Yeah.
and then you did the phone call with Bryce.
Yeah. Oh,
That broke my
That
heart.
one was amazing.
Thank you. It
I
was
could've
that
cried.
one was that one took like an emotional toll on me. Like doing that one was really difficult just because that was such a moment for me. Like when I read the book, that was such like a, oh my God, like this is literally her saying goodbye and she's gonna go sacrifice herself. So that, I mean, that was, oh, chills. I have chills on my body.
I get
yeah.
that too when you read a book and you're like, you get the chills and you're like, this shouldn't be happening.
For me, that moment in Crown of Midnight when Selena is on the horse running from Kael to the castle to see if Nehemiah is alive, that was that moment for me in Crown of Midnight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, she's
How do you
really
say her name?
outrunning him and he's on a horse. Like, she's going for it.
How did you say her name?
Selena or Nehemiah? I say
Nehemiah.
Nehemiah.
I
Is that
never
wrong?
heard it like that.
How do you say it?
Nehemia?
I say Nehemia.
Oh, Nehemia? That's probably right. I'm probably wrong.
No, you're right.
No,
You're right.
that sounds good.
Yeah.
I like it like that too.
Well, it's so interesting. That happens, like, I pronounce, you haven't met her yet. Well, you've met her in Assassin's Blade. You met her in Assassin's Blade, Urine.
Oh,
Some people say Wyrene, some people say Yereni, like,
I say
How do you say it?
Irene.
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 Yeah, I'm wrong. I'm usually wrong.
I don't say urine because it sounds like urine, and I don't want to disrespect her like that.
Oh no. Oh no, I never thought about it like that before.
Well, because like a couple of Hispanics have that name and they say
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, so Irene, the Y, it just an I.
Oh, that's so
how it
interesting.
sounds when I read it.
Right.
So the
Well,
same like a couple of other names, I
Mhm.
read it how I would in Spanish, and then it goes.
Right. Oh, that's so smart. I wish I knew enough about not just Spanish specifically, but like other languages to be able to do that. You know what I mean? To like see a name and be like, oh, this is how this would be worded, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately I do not.
Had a big thing with that too, because like he was like he went to USC for English Lit,
Mhm.
and he is like really big on reading and like cognitive thinking and breaking down words and that like Latin root of a word and everything. So he really dove that into me, like see how words could sound together like on like view, and so that helps with that. Plus like the Hispanic and the Latin.
Right, yeah.
But it's interesting how many people pronounce so many different things so differently. I love that though.
Yes. I did a video where I don't even remember what the video was about, but I said a bunch of different names and all of the comments were like, how did you pronounce that? You pronounce that so weird. And then I was also gonna say Jude from Cruel Prince. I don't know if you've read Cruel Prince or not.
Yeah, we're sticking.
Her last name is also a Hispanic last name, isn't it?
Yeah, Duarte.
Yeah. Which is, and that I just thought that was really, because I hear so many people pronounce it like Duarte. And I'm like, that sounds kind of clunky. It's like you sound white saying that.
Duarte, yeah. That's the English way to say it, you know.
Right.
When you have when you go to school with a bunch of different mixes, you hear a bunch of different ways to say things.
Right.
And so I was used to people saying Jude Duarte, but in my head I would say Duarte because you know that's how it is.
Right.
It's funny to me because like I went to high school in Koreatown here in Los Angeles, so we had a big mix of like Koreans and Central Americans plus, so we had a huge mix of people. So every name you were able to learn how to say different things in different ways. Like, and you know, like Koreans, they have like an American name, and like our friends, we would just be like, no, just tell us your name. Like, we want your name. We don't want your
right.
We want your name.
What is your name? Yeah.
And so like it was like a really cool thing for us to do. And I feel like if people, and that's my thing of like people being close-minded about like other races and things like that, it just kind of irks me because it's like it's not that hard.
Not that
literally.
It's not hard. And so like that's like my thing. Like I'm so happy that I'm able to think that way about people I'm just like, man, if only everybody else could see this. I'm like, you guys would be all upset.
Right. And I also hate how like in books, they're never like, this person is Black or this person is Hispanic. They're like, he is tan or like she is dark. It's like, that's not representation. Like that's cheating on the test. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like sometimes it's really hard, especially like with fantasy books, because like it is hard. Like we were talking about it from Blood and Ash. A lot of the POC characters get whitewashed. Kiernan and Castile get whitewashed a lot in fan art and stuff. And we were like, how there's no way for an author to be like, oh, they're Hispanic, but Hispanic doesn't exist in the fantasy world. So it's like, how, like, because JLA had to say herself, like, they are POC people. And she had to like outline it for people, like Poppy is not skinny, Kiernan and Kaz.
Yeah.
White people.
Well, what I tried to do for Akadad is I tried to take aspects of that culture and bring them into the character. So for Lori, she's Indian, and so I tried to give her like, I did like obscene amounts of research, and I tried to give her like Indian garb. So she's got like she wears her headdress sometimes, and she has like the like, there's a name for it that I'm blanking on right now. Yes, thank you. Yeah, so I guess that's the way that I do it, I guess. Not being like, this is the only way to do it right. But just a solution is that I found is trying to bring aspects of the culture that they're representing into the fantasy world. Because I think even though it's fantasy, I mean, you can't just say, oh, all I can do is say that they're tan. I can't, there's no more I can do. You know what I mean? Like, yes, there is.
Like, we've seen it with like, I'm not gonna say it, never mind. That's a spoiler. Nope, I'm keeping it secret.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. You're doing
Maggie said F.
I spoiled books for people. That's my trait, is spoiling books for people. I never spoil major plot points. Very small plot points I have spoiled.
Has she spoiled anything for you yet, Grace?
No, but it wasn't like a thing. It's okay. So we have these weekly meetings because we're writing a book together.
Fun,
and,
yeah.
It's awesome. We love it. And she's just like, what about if we do this like this? And I'm like what? Like the book that we're reading right now together.
And you read head on?
Yeah, it was like this thing that
very minor.
It was happening to one of the characters, but it was very like passing by, but it did lead to some major arguments with the main character. And I was like, and she played it off like, oh no, it wasn't that, but it was, I was mixing up books. She played it off and I was just like, okay, maybe. Then when I got to that part, I'm like, you liar.
You liar.
So bad. But she believed it when I was like, no, I'm sorry, I'm getting so confused because I read books like in a day, and I read that book in it was from A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, which is from Blood and Ash, the second book. And I got it and I read it in a day because Grace was taking like 5 days to read this book, and I was like, I'm not about that.
So like the normal amount of time to read a book.
So we've established that Grace has to start reading at least 3 days before I read now.
Yeah.
But I had, and then I was reading like more books. So I was like, wait, no, maybe it's from her other book. Because I was reading another one of her books, the Covenant series that she's also written. And I was like, maybe it's from that series. Or no, is it this book? And I played it off really well. You have to commend I am taking acting this year. So I can't wait. Literally, Carly, my roommate, was saying this, and my friend Jessica were in the car today, where Jessica and I are taking acting together, and she's like, just follow Maggie and see what Maggie does. And I was like, I can't wait to be the star of my acting class.
Beth, you would be proud of her. You're proud.
I'm very excited. You better update me on what's happening because it's a lot of fun. That is, I've done that before too, though, where you're like, huh, if that were to happen in the book, like, I don't know if it does. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. Well, and especially because that means that she was just so excited to share it with you. You know?
Exactly.
Oh.
So I took it, and she's like, "But you have to keep reading because the next scenes are important."
Yes,
and I'm just like,
stop
I need
reading at
to
that
feel. I need to feel the betrayal of this moment first.
I need to be hurt for a minute. Let me be hurt.
For like 4 hours. I was like texting her like, Grace, you need to read, you need to read, you need to see what happens. But she like was not texting me back. She was so mad. And I was like, Grace. Like, because I'm the person where like I have to know what happens next. Like I can't sit there and wait. Like I will physically, like I will stay up late at night thinking about a book because I need to know what happens next. And then I'll just end up reading it to like 3 a.m. and I'm like falling asleep, like flipping the pages. You're like, I can't sleep.
Big mood. You know what I do to stay awake when I read books late at night? I act it out. I will stand my ass up and I'll be like, Resend, how dare you? You know what I mean? Like that's how you do it. And then it also gives you the opportunity to like really soak in what's happening, right? Mm-hmm. You're like, oh, okay, so I'm backed up against a wall and they have a knife to my throat. You know what I mean? Like you gotta really go for it.
So that kind of goes you brought up ACOTAR again. When did you read ACOTAR? Like, did you read it as they were coming out, or did you read them all at once?
Let me admit something to you. It has not even been a full calendar year since I've read ACOTAR.
Same.
Yeah, I read it in January of last year. Yeah. Yes, thank you. People are always like, I'm sure. Thank you for not doing that. Yeah, I read them I started reading them last year, actually while I was at this school before I transferred. And I mean, I read them all in like 3 weeks. I got them they all came at the same time. And I read them all. And then quarantine happened and I started. And I was like, let's just keep the ball rolling. Yeah, I definitely stayed up till like 3 a.m. every night reading them. And I told everyone I could about them because I just thought they were so good.
So like I read Throne of Glass in a week.
All 17 books.
Yeah.
Girl.
I was staying up till like 5 a.m. reading these books. And granted, I was in online school while I was reading them.
Right.
But like I was not in online school. That was for other books. That was for ACOTAR. I was doing school. No, that's wrong too. Other books. It was spring break last year is when I read Throne of Glass. I stayed up every single day because I had 2 weeks of spring break basically because of coronavirus and stuff when it all started going down. So I had 2 weeks and I just sped through Throne of Glass because I read that first. Right. And then I read ACOTAR and Crescent City. I read these all in like a week and a half.
That is insane. Do you have physical copies of the books?
Yes.
Yeah.
But after I read them all on my phone on an e-library. So I was just like swiping the pages, like reading. I read at a really fast pace.
Right.
So I can read like 75 to 80 pages an hour if I really get into the book.
Girl, you are insane.
So
Grace said, not me. You will not catch me dead.
The end of Crescent City and the end of Kingdom of Ash, I say this all the time, I was sitting in my grandma's living room on my air mattress, blowing my tissues, crying my eyes out till like 5 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
Wake up at 9 a.m. I have like the puffiest eyes. Do my online class, start reading at like 1 p.m. onto the next one.
Crescent City was actually the first Sarah J. Maas book that I was like, that I had to wait for the release for. You know what I mean? Yeah, that was the first one that I had to be like, I'm ready. So that was kind of fascinating. That experience is something I hadn't had before, so that was pretty interesting.
Well, because it released last year, didn't it?
Yeah, it released last year, like April, I think. Oh, it's really gonna bother me. Hold on, let me find the exact date.
Is it April or March?
I don't. That's a great question.
It came out, I think, in April.
February, March, April. Yeah.
Oh, sis is taking a long time to load.
Let me pull up my.
Come on. March 3rd, 2020.
I knew it was March because I read it in spring break. That's how I knew it came out in March, because my spring break was in March and I read it over spring break.
Yeah. And the second one is supposed to come out this year.
Apparently, ACOTAR 5 also is supposed to come out this year too, which
She's dropping 2 ACOTAR books in 1 year.
I think it's a novella.
That's insane. She's on crack. I swear to God. She's a mom, right? But I swear to God, like, all she does all day is just, I don't know how her fingers must be bionic. She just churns them out.
You know what? I have a theory about that. I think she uses like the text to voice thing and she just says it and just lets it go on.
That's how I read ACOTAR.
Does that.
Don't you think how weird that's gonna be if she's like changing her son's diaper and then like acting and like saying out the sex scenes for Court of Silver Flames, and she's like she's like
oh
feeding
no,
her kid and she's like saying it, and the kid's like,
oh no,
what are you talking about? She's like, shh, it's okay.
Nothing. Well, her son, I think her son is like 2 years old.
Yeah.
So he would be none the wiser.
I mean, you got to make the bank somehow.
Well, and that means he knows what happens before we do. I hate thinking about that. Like, her husband, her editors, her publishers, there are people who know what happens before I do, and I just cannot accept that.
There are people who have cried before me.
And I'm not okay with it.
I know there's gonna be like a lot of like, I have a feeling that there's gonna be a big fight scene between Cass and Nesta, where Nesta is gonna like, because Cass left her behind, and that's why I think she did like go back into her shell, and that's why we saw it in Foss, is because Cass left her behind, and I think he
seriously did, yeah.
Like, he literally acted like she was a side hoe the whole series.
Yes, just walked away from her. She said, "Let me lay down my life for you," and he said, "That's cute. I gotta go get McDonald's with Reese." Like,
that's what my problem is with Cass, is he leaves her behind. And so I think there's going to be a scene in Silver Flames where she's like yelling at him and she's like, you left me before I left you.
Oh my gosh. And when she does, I'm a be, yes, set that boy in check. Check him.
Well, because, yes, okay, I love Cassian's character is like a frat boy. Like, he's a frat boy. That's what he is. You know what I mean? Obviously, he's more than that. He's more complex. He's like, obviously. But like, if we're gonna generalize, he's a frat boy. I mean, obviously he's like a battle-hardened warrior. He cares about whatever. We get it. He's a frat boy though, you know? So I feel like I also feel like he's never been like shut down. Except for Nesta. Which is why he's like, no, because he doesn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah. No, I think it definitely irks him that she doesn't want him. I don't, like, she pushes him away. She's done with him. Like, she's like,
she said no.
I'm done with you. Like, you left me, so I'm gonna leave you, and I'm gonna go fuck all these guys, and I'm gonna heal myself without you. I don't need your help.
Which is something that I really hope happens, because part of the reason why I did not like Feyre is because, and this was really selfish of me, and after my reread, I realized that this was like really selfish and like not okay, but it also stems from like my own, like I said, asking for help is not something that I'm good at, and Feyre needed help to recover, and to me, that was like, oh, she has to rely on men. Like, I don't like the idea of relying on men. However, she couldn't have healed unless she asked for help. And that's, I mean, duh, ask for help if you need help. So that's something that after my reread that I was like, big brain moment, like, ask for help if you need help. However, I would love to see Nesta be able to put herself back together and not need Cassian the frat boy to come in and try and help her.
I think I want to see Nesta being able to take control of her own like future. That's what I was saying a lot, is Nesta's whole life has been 180 from what she wanted to happen. And so I want to see her take that control back. And I think that's something that she needs to heal.
Yeah.
I definitely think that this is going to be one of the more realistic journeys, because like we have all of these fantasy relationships that, you know, they get together and then, you know, that's it, you know, but this is going to be an actual realistic relationship where she needs to check that dude and he needs
Yes.
to realize, damn, I fucked up. I need to go fix myself
Yes.
while she's fixing herself. And if it comes back, which it comes back and they're both fixed. They're both fixed within themselves. She did
Period.
not fix him, he did not fix her. They're
Yes.
on their journey, and it's that whole thing of like, if you love it, it'll come back to you, but
Yeah.
it won't come back to you the same. It'll come back to you differently, with both sides growing, with both sides healed, with both sides with their own strengths ready to come forward and make a healthy partnership. That's
Yes.
what we need. We need a
Yes.
real healthy journey of this
Yeah.
couple.
Well, and I also think like every fantasy relationship is like, I'm broken. Oh, angst, angst, angst. And then somebody comes along, I'm also broken. And then they're like, we can be not broken together. It's like, okay, exactly. Like you just said, I want to see, and I think this is going to be Nesta and Cassian, where they're like, we're both so fucked up. Let's fix it and then do better. You know,
Yeah.
so I'm very excited. And I think Sarah too said on a live stream that that the book is a lot of emotional healing for Nesta, which was something I was terrified was not going to happen. But also emotional healing for Sarah J. Maas can mean a different thing than what we want it to mean. So we'll see what happens. But
So
yeah,
what happens if Nessian doesn't happen? Do you think you'd boycott the rest of like the series if Nessian?
well, listen, I don't have to worry about that because she already confirmed their endgame.
Exactly.
But like,
Period.
when she does get with Eris, what would you think about that?
Look, let me get a couple words in there real quick.
I know.
No, you go.
So Beth, I do know that you very much do not like Eris. I am open to possibilities, as I am with every one of these characters, because as we have
I can't talk. I'm sorry. I have to go. No, I'm kidding.
As we've kind of like discussed, that every one of these characters in this book are totally messed up, but there is like certain lines that people do not come back from.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that Eris is on the side where he will never be like have a full arc where we'll love him.
Right.
And I don't ever think that he will be with Nesta, but I do think that he is that kind of work in the shadows, and I'm okay with being an asshole kind of guy.
Yeah.
I know where things need to move in order to move forward.
Right.
So he's just like, I'm here in the I'm truly a dark character, and I'll help out here and there because I know things need to come better. But that does not mean I'm gonna come to the light. And I feel like he's one of those characters.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't think that I'm open to the possibility of something happening with him as a character, not with him with anyone else. I don't think that's what happens.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's not it. But with anybody in these books, I never truly believe that they are completely lost, except for like, you know, flat black characters like Highburn and Baron, which we know that's it. They're evil. But to make
that's all they are, right?
Yeah, you know, to make a truly complex villain, they have to have both sides.
Right. And yes.
That's my viewpoint with him.
Yeah.
You may
I will end up with Nesta, but I
yeah. No, I completely agree. And I think like for me, that line of like can't come back from, Aries passed that from what he did with Moore for me. But I also can recognize, like we were talking about, they have their bad and their good. He went behind his father's back to get the army to fight in the war. So like I can recognize like, God, I hate you, but that was pretty cool of you to do, I guess. Okay. You know. Right. Yeah. So I mean, I don't think he's like secretly a good person. You know what I mean? I don't think he's gonna be like a Reese where he's just like, I'm actually nice, you know. But I do think that he makes smart decisions for the sake of his court, and I don't think you can ask for much more, you know, for a High Lord. So
yeah,
that's
the one thing I good for him.
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
Consistency.
you got yourself in check, but you're not really a good person.
He's not denying the fact that he's not he's not denying the fact that he's
Right.
not bad. He's not saying
Right.
I'm a good person and then does all like Tamlin. He's not a
Yeah.
Tamlin where he admits he's bad. He admits that he will do not good things to you
Mhm.
in pursuit of bettering his agenda.
Right.
I
Well, and it's
appreciate
it's cool too that he's his court. Like that's his world, is his court. He has to take care of his court. And I respect that, you know. One thing I did not really like is how Reese is trying to get up in everyone else's business. It's like, take care of you, you know, because the night court is messed up as it is, you know. But I really appreciate that he kind of is like, this is my territory, don't mess with it, and we won't have a problem. Yeah, I appreciate that about him.
Yeah. I kind of do want to see more of him because I do enjoy like the character arcs, but I also enjoy like knowing more to a character story. And he's a character that I find incredibly interesting because I want to see his side and know his motivations, especially with what happened with Moore. I want to see what I want to see his perspective because I want to know and see what he was thinking. Like, why would you do this? Of all the things you could do, what made you use this? I think even if like Sarah writes a novella or something about him, I would be really interested in seeing that because he's not a morally great character.
He's bad.
He's bad. He's just bad.
Right.
And he admits that. And I want
He's not.
Exactly.
he's long gone. Like
Period. Yeah.
but I want to know, like, I love the analysis of like characters' thought processes. And
Yeah.
Sarah's is just dumb. I'm sorry. That's why I'm excited for Nesta's.
Yeah. Well, because she's a 17-year-old child.
Yeah.
Of course her thought process is dumb because she doesn't know anything.
Yeah. And that's the sad thing is like with like they all like there is a 17-year-old child and like she definitely has gone through a shit ton of stuff. They all have. Like every single character in Sarah J. Maas's world has gone through shit. Like every character has a bad background. We all know that.
Yeah. No happiness for anyone.
No
one.
They all got scars. And that's why because I relate to Nesta a lot when it comes to like dealing with like depression and stuff. And like Nesta is the type of person where she deals with it herself. And I'm that type of person where I like to deal with myself. And like it really irked me in Aquafas, said it right again, that they were pushing her a lot. They were pushing her to like do something. We talked about that where we were like, really, like you can't push people you can't push people to change them how you want them to be. And
she set a very clear boundary.
Yeah.
She said, I do not want to be around you. And everyone around her overstepped that boundary. So I think the fact that they're angry with her is completely irrational. She said no. She drew the line in the sand. She said, I cannot be around you. I'm not going to associate myself with you. And I don't have to give you a reason why. I'm just not going to. And they all said, we don't care how you feel. Come join us. We're a happy family, you know. So, I mean, I completely agree with that. The fact that they all just stomped all over her boundaries and the limits that she set for herself as if their agendas were more important than hers. Yeah. So,
I think that is something that that's why I'm so excited for this book. Because Nesta, I've been waiting to get her perspective because I want to know what she was thinking when like Aquafast happened, but I also want to know what happened in the cauldron because that, especially how you wrote it in Akadad, her dealing with her like trauma, perfect. Love it. I'm waiting for it to like be done so that I can just soak it all.
Me too. Me too. God, good Lord.
I need to know what happens, like, and what I want to see, like, what you think about it and like what you want to happen. But I just like am so excited because I love that the character. Like, it's very character driven. I feel like Sarah J. Maas's books are very character driven. They're not plot. Yeah, there's plot. Yeah. Characters are better, I think, for Maas.
Well, and a lot of people didn't like Crescent City because they're like, it's slow. It's really slow. But it was world building. I mean, there's so much world building in that book.
It's
And yeah, I love it. It's my favorite Sarah J. Maas book, honestly.
it's what, 700 something pages, 800 pages.
It's freaking long. I have it. Where do I have it? It's in my room somewhere. I could look, but I think it's 700 pages. It's really long. You've read Crescent City, right, Grace?
Yes.
Yeah.
You
feel you look like you want to say something.
No, it's just like it was one of the first books that I heavily annotated because I was just like, oh, like this is like, because it was definitely a different thing for me. Like, I've been on a high fantasy thing, and that was the first like urban fantasy, and I just loved how like the world was like really opened up into things.
Yeah.
And I just, like thought it was really cool, and like Bryce's whole journey and everything, and it was like one of my favorites for sure.
A lot of stuff happens in that book for that to be the first book of a series.
Oh my God, yeah. I'm like, this is like 2 books and this is like 4 books in one. What happens in Crescent City is the equivalent to what happens in the first 4 Throne of Glass books.
Yes.
There's so much.
It's literally like the same amount of pages because
it's so long.
It's so long, and there's so many plot lines that are happening in the book as well, which I think she does really well for like Crescent City, especially since it's more of an adult book. It's not a YA book. It's definitely, but it's
oh yeah. And she markets it like an adult book too. I mean, I really appreciate how in Crescent City, like with ACOTAR is an adult series. I mean, it's an adult series. But she really shies away from that. I mean, she markets it YA, like she really shies away from making it a adult series. But with Crescent City, she's like, this is adult. There was not a lot of sex in it though.
No.
Too.
Which I was like, hello? What's the point of making it an adult book with nobody fucks?
We never got like a sex, an actual sex. We've gotten like this like, ooh, and then he's hurt. And so it doesn't go through. So I was like, that was one of my things. I was like, Sarah, you really did this to us? She gets us a rub. She's like, here you go. Enjoy it while it lasts.
Sip of water. That's what you get. A sip of,
right.
Because like when it was started like heating up, I like was on my private Snap story. I'm getting to the scene. I'm about to get myself a cup of wine. I already was showered, my hair wrapped. I'm ready. And then I'm sitting there reading it and I'm like, that's it? Literally.
Well, and it also was like, the tension was great. The tension buildup was phenomenal. And then it all dissipated. So she built up all this tension for absolutely no reason. And so when we eventually do get that first intimate scene in the next book, it's not going to be as impactful because she wasted all that tension on that stupid scene on the sofa.
Okay, there were so many chances for her to make
that scene in the kitchen though. That's
my favorite scene. That's my favorite scene. And I think that demonstrates how good of a writer Sarah is.
Yeah.
That they didn't even kiss in that scene. There was no even kissing. But that was still like the sexiest scene in the book. Yeah. I mean, that scene was I love it.
Sarah
love that scene.
Has a lot of flaws when it comes to representation in her books, and like there are some like plot points and like parts of characters that you're really like, you really shouldn't be writing about that. But you have to admit she is a really good writer with her adult books. Throne of Glass, it's a YA book. Except for like once it gets to like Queen of Shadows, it's not really YA. So but like her like older books are not YA, but they're good. Like except I'm mostly talking about Crescent City, honestly. It's kind of like
Crescent City, I think, is her best written book. Like it's so well written. Like thematically, I mean everything.
Newest written books too. So we can definitely see like the progression of her writing styles through Throne of Glass and then it's like Throne of Glass, Kingdom of
the very first Throne of Glass book is written so badly.
Yeah.
She wrote it when she was like 16. So like, I mean, I'm not going to judge her too harshly, but like, it's such a badly written book. But like, it's so interesting because like we kind of get to see her improvement as an author, which is really interesting. It's not an experience I've had with any other author. Is seeing her go from like writing internal explanations in the first Throne of Glass book. There's literally a part where Aelin or Selena says, "How could he do that to me when he knows what?" Like, I mean, like it's so badly written. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like the very first scene in Throne of Glass book, where he's like, "Does he know who he's talking to?"
I'm saying Sardothian. I'm assassin.
I'm like, this is all an aside. Like, oh my god, yeah. But then we get to Crescent City, and it's like
perfect.
Worlds above. Yeah. I don't think
that's definitely something that I like. She mentioned something like that her writing style is growing with the audience that she has.
Yeah.
Like her she's like, I'm not going back to YA anymore. It's like purely adult going. I don't think I'm ever gonna go back to it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that so much because like she understands that that's not anymore what she can do. She's sticking to this. This is it. And I appreciate that. Yeah, you know, and I like authors who kind of grow with their audience, you know.
Right. Well,
like
and she knows,
yeah, you know, there's other series out there like, you know, you're rolling with Harry Potter that like the first book is like middle grade, but like as you go in the series, it grows with you, with your audience, and you appreciate certain authors that do that. And I just really like that. I'm here for Sarah J. Maas's like end of it because I'm in that stage now, so I'm like, yes, I'm here for that.
Yes. Yeah, well, it's so cool too that she recognizes that her audience started reading the books at age like 16 and now we're all older, and she's like, okay, I recognize that. And now, but I also know people who read ACOTAR at 13 and I'm like, what are you doing? You are insane
all the time. I had like a video where I was like, they need to have like age warnings and stuff on books, because like we talked about this in one of our, because we had like we had a situation with our book club where we had to deal with it. It was about like age stuff, and we were like, there was a minor, very young minor in our group, and we had no idea, and so we had to sadly let them leave because we couldn't as like adults.
Yes,
we can't have that happening. And they read Crescent City, they've read ACOTAR at like a very young age, and I'm like,
White, Royal Blue,
Red, White, and Royal Blue at a very young age. And I was just like, I can't perpetuate young readers reading that. So whenever I do book recommendations, I'm gonna start putting like a
automatic age rate.
Like I have like my J.R. Ward books up here. Like are like adult erotica.
Yes.
And like
okay, Azriel, whatever. Keep going. We get it.
They're hidden
in the top shelf.
So I had to take them
conveniently out of frame.
Yeah, I had to take them out from school so that my parents didn't see what I was doing. My dad like asked me if I watched the Bridgerton sex scenes the other day.
I haven't seen Bridgerton.
Oh, it's pretty good.
It's
like, you know, it's pretty good.
It's really good.
Cliche, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the thing about like TikTok, the really like downside to like book talk is that a lot of young readers start reading these very adult books. Like Crescent City is like, I work at Barnes & Noble, and Crescent City and ACOTAR are in the adult fantasy section. Like I've had to like ask a parent came up to me and they're like, my 14-year-old daughter is like looking into ACOTAR and stuff, and I was like, ma'am, this is an adult like content, but like my aunt asked me like what books to recommend her daughter, and she's like, I really don't want like heavy like smut in it. And I was like, I got you, I know exactly what books to get. Red Queen, like very light YA books. And I feel like there's this lack of like not telling people like this is not for kids. Like a lot of parents buy books, because I worked at Barnes & Noble and I've seen them buying books for their like 14-year-old, and I'm having to be like, hey, like I will let you know that this is an adult fantasy with a lot of sex in it.
Yeah,
I've said that.
And it's struggle too, because like you don't want them to grow up thinking that, oh, I can't read this book because sex is bad.
Yeah.
because it's wrong, because because doing it makes me dirty. Like that's the very fine line that we as a part of book talk have to tiptoe is, own your body, love yourself, but also,
Maturity.
it's exactly. And I feel like you also can't read the books in the way they were intended unless you are of a certain age and you've been through certain things.
You don't grab them.
Yes.
We were talking about that where as an adult we can look into relationships, and even in YA books we delve deeper into the very emotional aspects of relationships.
Yes.
Whereas where a YA reader might just read it as it is
Skim
and not
through it.
completely.
Right.
And I feel like there's like I was like talking about J.R. Ward, and then I found out that they were a minor and they like fresh in teen years, and I was like, I'm like 20 years old. I'm sorry.
Right.
And, like I have one follower who's she started following me when she was like fresh 15, and like
Aritzia?
yes, I love her so much. She's like my number one fan for sure. If you're listening to this, shout out to you, girl. I love you. She's like so sweet, and like she's like constantly like, oh, what should I asking me for recommendations, and like first thing I was just like, okay, so what are you looking for, how old are you? And she told me, and I'm just like, okay, these books are perfect for you, they're good for like that stage in your life that you were there for. And she appreciated that so much that she's like constantly asking me, is this appropriate for me, is this okay for me? And I'm just like, I love young people like that who understand certain things are beyond them, and they want to only read what their mind is capable for. And I'm like, I love that you take that initiative, and it makes me be on top of my game to recommend the books that are appropriate for you.
And also their maturity level as well, because they're like, I'm too young for this kind of content. Because like I wouldn't want my sister reading Crescent City. My sister's 14. I would not want her to even read Throne of Glass yet. Like I think Throne of Glass is good for like 16, 17. Transitioning into adulthood kind of thing. It's a perfect YA setup. So that's why when I always say like YA, I'm always talking about like 15, 16 plus is what I think YA now stands for.
Yeah. Well, and I also think too, like for that age group, recognizing that you're not ready to read a book isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Recognizing that it's okay to say, well, and I have so many thoughts in my head right now. It makes you a better reader to read at your level consistently. If you think you're so good and so mature that you can jump right into Crescent City, you're not going to get as much enjoyment or consistency in your reading experience as you would if you went into like the Lunar Chronicles is a great YA series, or if you went into like, I'm trying to look at my bookshelf for books that fit the narrative, but my bookshelf is full of adult books, or like Percy Jackson. You know what I mean? I mean, like recognizing that you can ease your way in, and there's no shame in that,
Exactly.
There's like this idea of like having to go with like the trends, and that's why I feel like a lot of 13-year-olds on Book Talk will read Crescent City and ACOTAR because they feel left out. And I feel like I wish there were like creators who did specialize in like those younger audiences and who made reading those books for reading at the levels cool, because I feel like it's now cool to read all of Sarah J. Maas books. It's cool now to read From Blood and Ash, and like, but From Blood and Ash is an adult book. It is an adult romance book. It's not a fantasy book. It's a romance book, and I think people, like a lot of parents, don't realize that is like with there like needs to be some kind of way for parents to know, because they have. I'm the YA specialist at my Barnes and Noble. That's what I like to say. And they always ask me like, is this age appropriate for these kids? And I've had to say like, they've had to like ask like where Red, White, and Royal Blue is. I'm like, oh, that's in the romance section. They're like, it's not a YA romance. And I'm like, no, it's a full like adult romance book. And they're like, oh, then I don't need you to take me to it. I'm like, because you're probably going to get it for like your 14-year-old, because it looks like a book for a younger audience.
It does, and I think that's why Sarah rebranded too.
Yeah.
Is because they looked like
Yeah.
YA covers, and it's not a YA series, which I really appreciate. I hate the new covers, but I appreciate the fact that she rebranded with the intention of making it an adult series.
I don't even have. I have the old covers, but I have new dust jackets for them. I have the bookish box. They have their like artist done dust jackets, so I have those ones. Because they're really nice. Have I spent money on them? That was my Christmas gift. But like Red, White, and Royal Blue is it looks like a YA.
It does. The cartoony,
Cartoony kind of love.
Is that Rainbow Rowell?
No.
No.
Who wrote it?
Casey
No.
McQuinston?
Oh, okay. It's very similar in style, cover-wise, to Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That book is problematic.
It is really problematic. I remember reading it. It's just on my bookshelf. I remember reading it in high school. I actually didn't buy it. I stole the book from my English teacher. But anyway, that's why I thought it was by Rainbow Rowell, is because the style is so similar. But
lives here in
it's
Omaha.
not. Huh?
She lives here in Omaha, and the Barnes and Noble that I shop at, she signs the books there. She'll just go in there randomly, and just sign all the books that she has.
Oh wow! Wait, that's really cool, actually.
It kind of is, and I only have.
But she's also problematic, so I don't.
I have
anything
one of her books, and I have not.
But,
It's funny that she's very problematic, yet she writes about like people in the LGBTQ. She writes about.
But that's what makes her problematic.
That's true. That's what makes her problematic. It's she's a very conservative person writing about this. I'm like.
Yeah. Well,
down,
I think right. She's not very. She blew up for a hot minute, but I think people are realizing that she's a straight white woman in her 40s writing about gay teenagers. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
It's pretty funny, but
it is pretty funny.
Yeah, I have a book. Not ready yet.
What is it?
It's Carry On. It's like Carry On, and then it's Wayward Son. So if you are a Supernatural fan. She didn't purposely do that, but I was like, yes, you
should have, though. She should have.
She did. She's the one to admit it.
That's right. I think the concept of, Fangirl is about the girl who's writing Carry On. So I thought that was really smart that she actually wrote Carry On, and I thought that was really cool. Problematic. But yes, Fangirl is about I don't even remember what her name is, but she's writing Carry On. She's wrote the fan fiction Carry On and is publishing it. And then Rainbow Rowell wrote the fan fiction Carry On and published it, which I thought was really clever.
The cover is pretty. The covers are really pretty. I will give her that. Her covers for Carry On and Wayward Son are really cute. But they're classic YA books. And what is Red, White, and Royal Blue fits in that. It fits. We have a game where we ask they ask Maggie if this is YA or not. 95% of the time I can guess it unless it's a romance book. The romance books can trick you.
The contemporary romance books, they're kind of getting into the toony, cartoony kind of culture. And I'm like, no. Because Date Plan and Wedding Date and all of these other bright colored. Yeah, and I'm like, that looks YA.
I need the half-naked cowboys back on the covers so I know what I'm looking for.
Yeah, well, and I wonder why.
It's probably a trend. I think it's just going with the trends and stuff. Very bright colored books are very in, I guess, right now. But you can also trick readers into thinking, oh, it's a nice light book.
The good is that they stay in the romance sections. Don't accidentally,
Right. Yeah. Well, which I think is the problem with ACOTAR is because it isn't romance, so it doesn't go in the romance section. I might be wrong. I don't shelve books.
ACOTAR is shelved in dark fantasy. Yes, dark fantasy. It's considered dark fantasy, so it's in the adult fantasy section. But the old covers of ACOTAR, when we did have it, it was in YA, but we don't we completely sold out of them. So we only shelved them in we shelve it right next to Crescent City. But Throne of Glass and her Catwoman book, never read it. Never.
Me either. That is so left field. That's so random to
A
me.
lot of
Like,
authors.
Out of here.
It's like
I didn't know about that until like I was like looking up to add to my Goodreads Crescent City too.
Yeah.
And then I saw Catwoman and I'm like, what?
I know. I wonder when that came out. Hold on, let me look it up.
it's like a series with a bunch of authors. Like Leigh Bardugo did, I think, Superwoman.
Yeah, they have like a whole DC.
Mary Lou
lineup.
did one. Like
I
it's
did not know that.
Yeah, it's I kind of wanted to read it, but then I'm like, nah, I'm not reading this. I'm not reading this.
Honestly, I might read it because I'm a big DC fan, so I might read it. Also, I'm very interested into starting that graphic novel series of the Teen Titans. I really
Yeah, you are. I love that.
yeah. Gotta get
It
in
came out
that.
in 2017, so it was while she was doing Avatar, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, that was really left field. I was like, huh?
Sure.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny because you see like
Appreciate
Throne of Glass, and then you just see Catwoman, but nobody buys it. Nobody buys it.
Right? Of course they don't.
Like-
Of course they don't. Come on, no.
They don't come for Sarah J. Maas for Catwoman. They come for Faye.
Yeah, I know.
Period.
Like I just want my hot silvered hair man with tattoos on his
Yeah.
face. That's all I
Yeah.
need.
That's also another thing that Sarah's obsessed with is tattoos.
Tattoos. I
I'm like-
wonder if Josh has any.
Thank you. You finished my thought.
We're
And-
there. We're there.
Well, and here's the thing. He doesn't have any on the surface, which means they're under his clothes.
Well, Reese has them on his chest.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh and Reese have the same birthdays.
She says
She wrote
wrote
Reese's Josh. She's on lives and she's like, oh, I did that. Shut up,
And
girl.
he's
We know.
back there like,
he's like
Yeah, right. He's like, I conveniently have to leave frame for a moment. Like, we know. We know.
you don't give the main like love interest of a book that you're writing the same birthday as your husband. It's basically, I think it's a
he was a gift to you. Like, girl,
Shut up. We know.
we know.
We know.
We know what it is.
Yeah.
For
We
sure.
know. You ain't slick. You ain't not slick.
her and Josh are really cute. They are.
They are, and it pisses me off.
Yes.
I hate seeing people in love. It makes me
I hate
mad.
seeing people happy with other people.
Oh my god.
They're
I'm
like adorable though, because like she'll be on live and then like he'll come in and like she'll like start blushing.
Yes.
And it's like,
it makes me want to vomit. It's disgusting.
Well, because like you can see how much in love they are because she'll go,
Literally, she has this little smile that she uses whenever she talks to him or about him. She's like, I'm like, stop. And their kid is adorable and they have a beautiful home.
yes.
Whatever. And
she
he
talks-
cooks. He cooks.
Yes. Okay, she's a
that's
cheat.
why she can write all day. Because like he'll do everything else and she could just sit there at the computer.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think he
She
has to
makes the
work.
money. She's the money maker. Hello.
He doesn't have to work. I don't think he works.
He doesn't. I don't think he does.
I think
Which
he-
is so lucky for him. Hello.
Yeah. I mean, dream job is a stay-at-home dad, basically.
Well, and
And
Sarah's
he's like-
also really go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say Sarah's also really pretty. So like
Yeah. I mean,
you lucked out. You really lucked out.
And like
He's also very pretty too.
yeah, he is.
he looks
It's funny because like they ask him like, how do you feel about your wife, like, you know, and she's like, I love it, man, like she gets to write about these incredible men, and you know, and like, you know, on live she gets asked like, who would you rather have, and then she's just like, he's just like, she'd have all of them, and I'm just like, man, I like you so much.
I remember when he said that on the live. He was like leaning back. He's like all of them. Like he's like, isn't it obvious? She wrote
All
them.
of them.
Like, of course
All of
she
them.
put all of them.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's really interesting. Her husband like fully heartedly supports her, and I think that's what's
Oh.
so good. Is like he just loves what she does.
Yeah.
And he just
does. He genuinely does. He's the type of guy to like, if these fictional characters were real, he'd make a huge bed for all of them. To just
Be like, well, because he makes stuff. He like actually is like he can like
Yes.
make stuff. You know, like he's
Pinterest
with,
husband.
yeah. He's the dream husband of an author. I mean, for real. I have this in my head because maladaptive daydreaming. Yeah. Where I'm on set for Akatar. I'm Nesta. I'm talking to Sarah. We're hanging out. No big deal. And Josh comes by with like cookies every day. Like he makes baked goods for us and comes to set and gives the cast baked goods. I'm like, thanks, Josh. See you tomorrow. Like,
I love that.
Bad.
So perfect.
It's bad. It's really bad.
I think like so this just has to be it. If you need to get cast for Nesta, and then you need to get cast for Manon. I think those are like the like if they don't cast you, I'm a riot.
I'll say that in the comments, and then I'm like, what are you gonna do when they actually don't cast me?
I will email Sarah J. Maas. I'll be like,
well, do you want to know something that I did when I met Marissa Meyer? Is because
Oh.
I knew I wouldn't be able to speak to her, right? So I wrote her a letter and I included my headshot and resume.
I remember when you said that, and I was like, that's what you have to do, Sarah. That's what
gotta
you
put yourself out there, you know?
You gotta get like professional Manon photos done and be like, hey, well, she was supposed to make a TV series out of Throne of Glass. It was supposed to be a Queen of Shadows.
Yeah, and then it never happened. She was also supposed to make a World of Throne of Glass book, which was supposed to happen after Kingdom of Ash. And then that also never happened. So I don't know. I really hope it does, though, because
I kind of feel like that might come into play because you know how everything's connected.
Yeah, I think it
So
will.
I feel like we're waiting for that.
Well,
period.
I've been saying Nesta, I think I won't spoil Kingdom of Ash, but I think Nesta can travel because Moss said they're all part of the same, like they're all connected. So I think Nesta can open portals.
That would be sick.
Because the cauldron,
wait, I've never thought of that
the
before.
cauldron is what took, like, I've been saying this. The cauldron is what gave her, like, created the worlds and stuff. So she took the power from the cauldron. She took more than it wanted. She so
stole.
powerful.
She is.
Stole. I was like,
I would argue she's the most powerful person in the Akatar universe.
oh yeah, no.
She literally faced life itself and stole from it. Are you kidding me? And then Rhys died. Like, hello?
Yeah.
If we're comparing Rhys, who is supposedly the most powerful in the universe of Akatar, when faced with the cauldron, died.
Nesta
Archeron, she stole. She said, "I'll take this, this, and this.
I'm coming
I'll
for
take
you
that."
when I come out.
She said,
Period. She had a shopping cart, and she was, I mean,
she's going down the aisle, just like pushing it down.
Period. And then she said, "I'm not gonna pay," and walked out of the store. Like,
she's like, bye, baby.
period.
She's like drinking her coffee and like pushing the cart. She's like, bye.
You know what? Okay, so this is another really dorky thing I do is I try to like analyze every aspect of a character. So like I'm a really big coffee drinker, so I've tried to figure out what all of my characters would order.
Oh my god.
Coffee.
You should definitely make that a series. Like this is Nesta's like order, the Starbucks order, coffee order. This is Manon's coffee order.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Do it.
Well, and I might be wrong. People might have differing opinions, but that's definitely something I've done. I've also done like what their workout routines would be. I've done how they get to work. I've done what their majors would be in college. It's just really fun to think about and to analyze.
It needs
about
to be a series.
Love it.
Do it. Do like a businesswoman Manon. I would love to see that.
Period. That's what I pegged her as. She would be a CEO.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Yes.
Like, she would take
I
nothing
haven't even
less.
read the book yet, and I already know that.
Oh yeah. So if you haven't read the book, I have a question for you. Oh my gosh, can I ask questions on your podcast?
Of course. Of course.
As someone who hasn't read the book yet, how do you know if you even like the cosplay if you don't know the character?
Because I can appreciate art when I see it.
Period. Okay, I love that. Good answer.
I mean, I don't think like, yeah, sometimes cosplay does spoil stuff, but like you don't spoil stuff in your cosplays. You don't.
I try real hard not to.
Then I appreciate that. Like so right after I read Throne of Glass, I started getting into your TikToks and seeing like all of like the Cassian, like your Cassian one. I was like, I was like, who the fuck is this character?
Yeah, I'm just
Why
like,
is
oh my
he
god,
so hot? Like, why? I was like, who is this? I need to read this. Wait, this is a guy? What? And then I read it and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Well, and people were saying, you know, they were like, if they don't cast you as a gender bent Cassian in a movie, I'm like, that's a stretch. Like you need to stretch a little bit before you reach that far. Like
A little
Oh my
too,
goodness.
too far. Too much
That's right.
whitewashing.
Yes. Well, and that's why I retired Cassian, is because I did more research and reread, and I was like, this is a character of color, and I'm a white woman, and I'm not gonna be cosplaying this character. That's why I also haven't done Jude. Everyone's asking me to do Jude, but she's Hispanic.
Yeah.
And I'm white. I'm very white.
It's crazy to me that people don't think that conversation's out there, that she's not
Right.
Hispanic, and I'm like, don't you hear? Her
She-
name is literally Hispanic.
Yes.
his,
Dad is. Her dad is
Yeah.
Hispanic,
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
and her mom is white, so she's a mix. And I'm just like,
but in all like fan art and stuff, she is darker
White.
tone.
Oh, yeah.
I see ones where she's darker, and then I also see ones where she's very white as well.
Mhm.
So like the main popular ones that you see mostly, she's really white. But then the other ones that are here and there, like more like you know, the more steamier ones.
Yeah, the steamier ones are the ones that I look at.
She's got a nice brown skin, and I'm just
Yes.
like, I appreciate
Yes.
that so much.
Well, yeah, and I haven't read the series yet. That's not true. I've read a little bit of the series, like I'm on like chapter 5 of the first book. But I mean, the way they describe her looking physically too is like, this is a character of color. Like this is not a white lady with dark hair. This is a Hispanic character.
I also think that's a lot of fault to readers, is we don't look like granted, I do that sometimes where I think of a character and I put myself as a character, so I usually end up thinking like they're not a person of color, and then you have to be like, no.
Why is our default white?
Why
As
is our
readers.
default white?
Yeah,
And-
that's something that I really like analyzed about myself. I was talking about I don't even remember who or what. Oh, that's not true. I do remember. I posted a video that was like, if you cosplay people of color and you're a white person, that's racist of you to do. Like that's not okay for you to do. And people in the comments were like really having a hard time grasping that. And somebody had said that. Somebody was like, why do we default that every character is white unless explicitly expressed otherwise? Which was really thought-provoking to me and really made me like step back and rethink, you know, there are characters that's the white privilege that we have, is if a character's skin tone is not mentioned, we assume it's white.
Yeah.
You know, which is
Blue for all we care.
period. Exactly.
Yeah, I definitely.
So it's a very interesting conversation that needs to be had.
It's definitely a fault to us as readers, but I also feel like sometimes in fan art too, like when I say like a lot of fan art doesn't portray Poppy correctly. They don't, but they portray her as a skinny person, and I've sent them.
What is that? What, is she from Blood and Ash?
Yes, from Blood and Ash, Poppy is a bigger girl, and
she's average size, which average size is plus size.
Average size is not this.
Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah.
And so like JLA had to like explicitly put this out. She's like, I don't understand why this is part of the conversation, but let me address it.
yeah.
She's not skinny, she is a bigger girl. And then she went on like a whole rant of like, why can you not just say fat? Like everybody has it. Like if you're fat, then you're fat. There is nothing wrong with it. Everybody has it. Everybody has that pouch. Everybody has those legs.
The fupa.
Come on. And she's just like, you cannot say that it's bad. You cannot say that it's wrong, that it's not pretty.
Well, and is that the author?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the author. It was in her Facebook group. It was to the point where like it's like all the fan art for Poppy portrays her as really thin, and I even have like I'm an average size, like medium large, extra large, that kind of range. Like that's an average person size, and like when I look at it, I'm like, she's not that, like she's explicit, like JLA has explicitly stated she's not that thin, and I know artists do their own renditions of it, but I feel like it also hurts people when they don't portray it how the author it describes.
Well, and it perpetuates fat phobia too. It's skinny washing, if you will.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
which is obviously incredibly damaging. You know,
It is. Because, like, you know, as a girl who's grown up always being on the bigger sides, growing up, I played 4 sports year round every single day. I'd go from one practice early in the morning to school to 2 practices later on that night. And
Yeah.
then do another workout. You know, I have been fit my whole life and I have been obese most of my life. I have been a big girl, bigger now, quarantine, you know, hit, but you know, I've been a bigger girl and I've never felt like my body was okay until like I started looking at myself and I'm just like, I'm fucking gorgeous.
Period.
I got
Yes.
a body, I got everything. And like, you know, and then it started hitting me like there's all these people who are reading these books and not understanding like their body is beautiful. So I was just like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm gonna go ahead and post this thing that JLA said because everybody needs to be out there hearing it because it talks not just about Poppy but about any character. And like I put it out there and like that's why I'm feeling so much more confident about like, you know, about posting more videos of myself, but like showing more of myself, not just but like of more of me and like acknowledging like I am this character, this is who I am. And I just love the community is getting that reawakening, not just in like, you know, people of color, but all the other communities out there. Diversity is not just a thing, it's everything.
It's not just about like your race, but it's also about like having like talking about disorders and stuff, like you not just mental disorders, but also like disabilities and stuff. Like I have scoliosis and I don't think I've ever read a character that has scoliosis. So of course I'm gonna write my character has scoliosis.
Yes. Kaz Brecker has a cane, right?
Yeah.
That I haven't read the book. Is that good disabled rep or not? Is it not good?
He gets injured, so technically yes, he's disabled, but it's not like it's kind of I like where they have rep where it's not the whole story. And it's not his whole story, but yes, he does have a cane. He does need to rely on walking with a cane, but Kaz also is like me. I have a video that I posted that's actually doing I'm surprised how well people are actually receiving it, where it's like introduce yourself as your comfort character, and then I'm like, hi, I'm Kaz Brecker and I don't like people touching me because Kaz doesn't like people to touch him. And it's like a thing where he's just like, and I don't like that. Like Carly tries to snuggle with me, she tries to like hug me and stuff, and I'm like,
Carly is my people. People.
So because like I've struggled with like body dysmorphia and stuff, and like people touching me really just like I can't. Hugs, no. So
and it's crazy because I'm a hugger and we're best friends.
We've never met in person.
Cool, though. Right.
So
now you have to just be wary that when you do meet in person, she's gonna try and hug you. You gotta be ready for that. You gotta be ready.
I respect you though. I understand.
I will hug other people, but I can't have people touching me. That's the thing. It's like I like the idea of being.
You have to initiate it.
Yeah, I have to initiate it. That's why my character is always initiates stuff in our book. She's very like I have to do this. So I think for Kaz that does have some representation because I feel like that, and like I have never seen that with a character, and I didn't realize until I was writing my book, and then I like thought back to 60 Crows and I was like, oh, Kaz doesn't like to be touched either, and I was like, I never thought of that. And it's a main thing for him. But
piggybacking on like disability real quick, of course, So Dark and Lonely, the main character, cerebral palsy. I don't know if I ever say that. And
what is the book called?
A Curse So Dark and Lonely.
Let me put that on my
breaking
list.
up a little bit. It's A Curse So Dark and Lonely, and then A Heart So Fierce and Broken, and then A Vow So Bold and Deadly, which is coming out next week. But she has cerebral palsy. And it doesn't and she makes a point in the book is it doesn't affect her ability to be like a strong, independent woman. It doesn't affect her, and it's really good.
A Curse of Dark and
A Curse So Dark and Lonely.
Got it. Thank you.
At the end of the book too, she even like the author goes into like cerebral palsy and like how it like a little bit info on that and where to get more information on that. And I just love when books do that. I love it when they put trigger warnings. I love it when they talk about disabilities and where to get information on it.
Yes.
Yes, agreed. I just finished this book. It's Love from A to Z, and it's a POC, but it also one of the main characters. Actually, I can't say it. Never mind.
You can say it in your head, but you can never like actually. It's one of
I
those.
can't say it because it's a spoiler for a main plot point.
Oh, okay.
I caught
fine.
myself. You saw that,
Good
Beth.
job, good
We're
job.
proud of you. We are proud of you. Look at you go.
I'm training. I'm actively.
But you
trying-
totally committed. I mean, you were totally going to tell us the absolute spoiler. You were totally going to.
Oh, dude.
Caught myself. I was like, nope, I can't. I thought about it. I was like, okay, is this gonna affect it? And I was like, yes. So I had
Love from A to Z. Is that
love
what it's
from A
called?
to Z. Yep.
I love adding to my TBR. It's my favorite thing to do, even though it's miles long already, but it's still very fun to do.
Going through Goodreads and seeing what other people are reading, and then you just like, oh, I want to read that too. Oh, I'm gonna read that.
Oh my god, yeah.
And you're like,
Too easy of a process. That's what it is.
Mm.
Goodreads is like another social media account that I have that I like actively look at. It's scary.
So I think we've gone on pretty long.
Yes.
We have gone on pretty long. I'm gonna cut this here because we can clearly go on for a while longer.
I know, we could just keep talking.
We
can.
really
But that's the great thing about this. It's like we're talking to friends, you know?
Sure, this was so much fun.
yes. It was
So glad.
so
that
happy
you-
to have you, and I was just like, I'm so excited.
Yeah, if you're ever just like, oh, I wish we had a guest this week, please let me know.
Oh, of course.
You could be a reoccurring.
Clearly, because we can talk about whatever. Clearly, you are filling the slot guest.
I noticed that we had like talked about so many different things. I was like, this is like, I was like, what have we talked about? I was like, we also talked about this and this and this and this.
Yeah, right.
It's like, it's probably going to be an hour and 45 minutes to a 2-hour podcast.
Probably
I mean,
a little plus.
But
But hey,
my mom will watch the whole thing, so
my
you'll
God.
have at least one full view.
hey,
you can send her, she can listen on Spotify, she can listen on YouTube,
And
Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts.
Mhm.
Maggie's done a great job spreading us around.
when is this episode out?
So this episode airs Friday. I don't remember the date. This Friday, which is let me look at my calendar. I don't want dead
We never get the dates right. It's gonna be 29th.
29.
29.
So it airs. This video will air at Friday the 29th at 12 p.m. Central Time, which is 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and then 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on YouTube, and then 6 p.m. on Spotify, which is 7 p.m. Eastern, and then 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
We
I
gotta
have-
split up the times because Maggie and I are in different time zones.
Yes. So
That's impressive that you just remembered that, though.
I have to do that every single time I ever talk to Grace. I have to talk in Pacific Standard Time. So like today, I was like, okay, she can record at 6:30, but it's like 8:30 for us. But I was like 6:30 for Grace, and Grace is like, okay.
that works for me.
And then
Yeah, thanks.
Right now, is it 9 o'clock for you right now?
Wow, good job.
I know. Thank you. Thank you.
we've been going on for a while now. We
I
started,
know. My God.
started
I'm
at
so
8.
sorry.
It's
No,
11:02.
it's totally- If our listeners are still here, we love you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for listening. Beth for
Yes,
Time.
thank you. I kind of. Beth, do you want to plug your socials?
Yeah, I want to plug my socials. So you can find me on TikTok, mass_trash. You can find me on Instagram, mass_trash_cosplay. And I don't have any other social media platforms. Akadad, you can find on Wattpad, look up A Court of Dark and Decay. And I'm thinking, I'm also on Tumblr as Mass Trash. So
We
yeah.
will have all the links down below. We'll probably put your link tree. I'll get all your links, all your social media links. We'll put them all down below. Go read Akadad because masterpiece.
Thank you.
Her Instagram, you can see all of her beautiful cosplay photos on Instagram. You edit
Yeah.
beautifully.
Thank you so much.
Put up the one of you, Manon and Abraxos behind you.
I love that picture.
That's the one I use because that's my favorite one. We put it up on the podcast.
Let me pull it up real quick just so we can. Oh, that's my favorite picture I've ever edited in my life.
So
just
good.
so we're all clear.
I was like,
My favorite.
Do you use a green screen?
Right.
Dun dun dun.
Yes.
So
Love that
beautiful.
one.
So
No, I do not use a green screen. I just take the picture like as it is,
beautiful.
and then I use an app called Bazaar Art. And it has like an eraser tool, so you can like erase
Yeah.
like the background and replace it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's really cool. She does really, really beautiful pictures on Instagram. Her TikTok, amazing. Content.
Amazing.
I've been following for almost a year now, so I need to get like a Stan shirt or something.
I'll give you a plaque. I'll give you a plaque that says 1 year.
Can't wait. That's what TikTok used to remind me is like how long like the people I've been following for. You're probably like the longest person I followed for because I unfollowed
honored.
people and because I don't watch their videos. But of course, I just like, oh, what's Beth
I
post
picked you them, yeah.
recently? Because like if I get like a notification for a fictional gal has like 5 of your videos. It's just me like scrolling through. Like,
Don't worry.
Going
Well, and I don't care about spam liking either. So
I like-
just feel free.
I actively try not to spam like you because I'm like, well, I don't want her to know that I'm stalking her. So like, I don't want her to know that I'll watch your videos and I'll like give you the watch times and stuff. But I sometimes am like, okay, I can like this photo, I can like this video, and then I can have to go like 3 away, and then I'll like that one too.
That is too funny. Oh my god.
I notice spam likers, and I'm always like, oh, you've gone back far. Like, I can't. She can't know. She cannot know.
Well, now I know. So
Now you know.
Now
you
you
just
know.
ruined it for yourself.
Now you'll know that it's me and you're like, oh, Maggie's catching up on all the content.
Every third video, every Monday. Here we go.
Like, oh, she's watched. Oh, she's going down far. Oh, she's that far. Okay. We'll see how. So, well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you guys for having me. This was so much fun.
It really was. This is gonna be a long episode. I can't wait to like.
It was.
I take it down and it's like a 4-hour process to download to my computer. But it will go up on Friday.
But it was honestly so fun.
Yes.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And I'm serious. If you ever want to, I'm just asking you to invite me back. That's all I'm doing. I'm inviting myself
We could
back.
talk about A Court of Silver Flames with you if you want.
That would be so much fun. Stop it. I would love that.
Because we want to do like an episode where we
Oh
just
my gosh,
talk about the book. And so we do like a book analysis and stuff. So
But we have to be nice to Grace. We can't do it like the day after it comes out. Come on now.
yeah, we're gonna because we have a book club, so we have to wait for our book club.
Oh yes.
So
You have to
Yeah,
wait
we're
for
talking to
that.
you, babe. We're talking to you.
Me. I'll be reading it right on time, okay?
Grace is
Wait.
fine.
I'm fine. But we will definitely have you back because you're just like so fun to have on. And we
Thank
talked about so
you.
many things.
yes.
Honestly, it's been one hell of an episode. We love you guys. Thank you guys for listening.
Yes, thank you. We'll see ya. Have a good evening or day or whenever you're watching this. Have a good rest of your hours left in the day. Bye. Have a good evening. Bye.
Bye.